The green line to the sea gates will arrive shortly.
The next train to the sea gates will arrive shortly.
The green line to the sea gates will arrive shortly.
Tram approaching. Please stand clear of the doors. Please stand clear of the doors. Please stand clear of the doors.
The green line to the sea gates will arrive shortly. The green line to the sea gates will arrive shortly. Please stand clear of the tram doors. Please stand clear of the tram doors.
This tram is going to the sea gates. Please hold on to a post or handrail. This tram is going to the sea gates. Please hold on to a post or handrail.
This is the final stop. Exit now for the sea gates. Please check for all personal belongings before leaving the train. Final stop. Exit now for the sea gates. Please check for all personal belongings before leaving the train.
I get compliments every day.
It was getting delayed.
Yeah, it was going to happen.
Yeah, we're staying here.
Ladies and gentlemen aboard American Airlines flight 2127 to Miami. Appreciate the boarding process here, very timely. We're a little ahead schedule. Appreciate that. Flight attendants will be coming down the cabin real shortly here to get everybody prepared for takeoff. If you could please put all compartments, put all your bags in compartments above, in the above compartment in a very nice manner, please. Thank you very much. We'll be starting very soon.
So, okay, oh yeah, right, so that's the back there.
Welcome. Type your full name in the spaces provided for access. When finished, please touch the Enter button to proceed. Please, access granted.
Forecast mostly sunny skies today with brisk easterly winds. Expect a high of 52 degrees. Clear tonight with a low near 41. Tomorrow,
Excuse me,
more sun.
can we stop everything? We've got to interrupt your programming because we have some breaking news. This is a bulletin. The mysterious outbreak of asthma symptoms has been traced to the evil mastermind 𒒏𝒂𝒂𝒎. Ergon has just invaded our city and released his asthma triggers on a colossal scale.
Close the window.
Someone was smoking in the house.
You don't have much time.
Too many asthma triggers out there.
Chalk dust is everywhere.
Officials warn everyone to be on alert until authorities can further evaluate.
Hello? Hello, are you there? Ah, there you are. You have been called upon to determine the fate of this city and possibly the entire world. Only you can prevent a disastrous situation from escalating. 𒒏💂💂💏 has placed a time asthma deployer containing dangerous amounts of asthma triggers at a remote location. If this asthma deployer is set off, the entire world will experience a major catastrophe. But what may prove to be the greatest threat is Ergon's ultimate plan, to convince kids that they can't manage their asthma.
Hello everyone, thank you for your attention. It's time to get you ready for takeoff. We know you have lots of choices, so thanks for choosing American. We're happy to be your airline. Now, if you'll just follow along with me, we'll be on our way. Welcome aboard. Before we depart, here are some important safety instructions. First things first, let's buckle those belts. Insert the metal end into the buckle and pull the strap to tighten. To open, simply lift on the top of the buckle. And remember, seatbelts should be fastened whenever you're seated, just in case of unexpected turbulence. To get us on our way, make sure your seat is up, all electronic devices are put away, and your tray table is stowed. If you have a carry-on, push it all the way under the seat in front of you. If it won't fit, place it in the overhead bin. If you have a handheld device, please switch it to airplane mode now. You'll find our full electronic device policy in the back of your American Way. U.S. law prohibits smoking, including electronic cigarettes, at any time. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying smoke detectors in the lavatories may result in a fine. U.S. law requires all to comply with lighted and posted signs and crew member instructions. Now let's review the safety card. Please pay close attention, and before you know it, we'll be off. All exits on this airplane.
Flight attendants, we're going to actually go ahead and cut that window short. We're going to go ahead and get the cabin prepared for takeoff. Appreciate it.
Shaping every section intuitively. And get down to detail with the total control and pixel-perfect precision your
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? We're flying Extreme out of Denton, Texas, on our way to Miami. Appreciate you all being patient. Appreciate you following the directions of our lovely flight attendants. We'll be starting the show here shortly. This is your captain speaking, the American Anchor, baby. Should be a nice flight. Not too much weather. In fact, no weather at all, really, on our radars. Going to be getting up to our 39,000 feet of altitude here. We'll get everything going. Appreciate the patience here, folks. The Extreme Fridays. How's your Friday going? Beautiful stuff. What a perfect departure out of Denton, Texas. A little airfield in Denton, Texas. You might have even heard of it. You may know a little bit about this airfield if you've been watching any American Anchor, baby. But how y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Our view's a little cut off here. There you go. We're about to get going here. Just saying hi to everybody. Our flight attendants working double time. Everything's going so perfectly. How's everybody doing? What's up, Mr. Mad? Nice to see you here. Mr. Pink, Kink Lizard, American native, that guy. What's up, Hakmas? Delighted to be here, Ty Rizzle Michael. What's up, Troy? How you doing, sir? Matthew, how's everybody? Cozy in your seats? I hope so. Beautiful. How you doing, folks? Let me say hello to the people on this fine Friday. Flying out of Denton, Texas. I lived in Denton for like 40 minutes. Right on. What's up, cuz? Steve Strack. Hello, Time Farmer. Sugar Pancake Face. Amazing. Great to see you all on a Friday. Really our first Friday of the year. I made it. We're here. No headaches. Nothing in the way. No excuses. Nothing no way out, but I'm happy to be here. Flying out of Denton on the obvious globe, around the obvious globe. Denton, Texas, it's that airfield we were talking about, that lady who's got apparently some issues. Had to go around Googling what the heck a shortstop was and had a little bit of a spat with a pilot over the airways. It was a funny little moment. Could it be more of that diversity as we know is happening? Diluting of the stock, the pure laine of America. But anyways, we kind of proved it a little bit. She was Googling things that someone with some experience, from what I could tell, not that I have experience, might know and wouldn't argue about. What's up, that guy? Hey. Nice. Yes, Gunner. Hello. But what was I saying? Denton, Texas. We're flying out of there. Makes sense for us, though. I'm a Google pilot. I'm an affirmative action pilot. But we're flying beautifully. As you can see, we're in the cockpit. And we're climbing up to flight level 390. And we got to get a little faster. Let's do a little work here on the computers. Because, you know, they make things easy to fly. You got to love these computers. That allows an anchor baby to be a captain. And that's a little bit of tweak in there. We should be pretty much golden all the way up to our cruising altitude here. You will hear the seatbelt sign off once we get up there. And you will be able to call in. It's a different number on Fridays. Oh, you know what? And I have the wrong number in the titles, which reminds me to change the title here on YouTube, because we are now in the air. It's a flight and a show. You can't call in. Shortly here, I'll have it open here in a moment. 760-515-3855. you want to jump on the air, maybe just change all that. Do a little quick change. Just let me do this, folks. Okay. I'm flying a plane, for God's sakes. Great. That's the correct number. Oh, I can't change it on X. It doesn't let you do that. Darn. Whatever. Oh, and I can't change it on Facebook. It's okay. We're going to keep going here. What's up, Renee? Rome? And let me welcome the first-class Super Chatters. We already have a couple of first-class seats. People who have bought first-class tickets can obviously go to the Ballers Lounge. Let me present you the Ballers Lounge here in a moment. Matthew and Ty Rizzle. Ladies, please. Oh, and ladies, grab CSAL on your way, too. CSAL is also a first-class ticket holder. CSAL with the kicking it off with the first-class Super Chats. Nicholas, she says. But she spells it Nicholas. May I shimmy on up to first class? Also, I'm calling into your show later. Right on, CSAL. Thank you. Wrangle her up gently, and then wrangle Matthew up. Rope, I don't know, drag him if you got him. May I have an extra pillow, he asks. And can one of the flight attendants please fluff it for me? Absolutely, sir. We offer a full suite of fluffing services. Absolutely. Pillow fluffing services. Ty Rizzle sent a GIF. Thank you for that, sir, Ty Rizzle. I can't see the GIF. YouTube tells me you sent a GIF. It says GIF. It won't tell me what it is. Maybe if it's in the chat. Let me check. It won't show me what it is. It just says sent a GIF. Maybe YouTube's being all safe and making things just safe, so that no one is triggered by a GIF. Thanks to all the first-class Super Chatters here. And I do want to welcome you to our brand new Ballers Lounge. If you could please enjoy your seats in your Ballers Lounge. This is the Ballers Lounge, and ballers will be treated as such in the Ballers Lounge. As you can see, Prime Baller is the Prime Baller seat is empty, and right now it goes to Matthew, Baller Prime, and and yeah, enjoy your seats. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Right on. Right on. What's up, Rumble? What's up, D Live? Right on. Let me check everybody. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, D Live? An in-flight fluffer, asks GMD Jim. I told you. A full suite of services. Do appreciate that, though. Thank you, Lacey. The little support there. Right on. So, this is Nick Street Fridays. How you doing? And there's a couple things I want to show you. You guys see that debate? Fuentes, Gavin McInnes, Zion, they debated Zion. Everybody wants to talk about the tunnels. Everybody's mad. They're like, Nick, there's Jews coming out of tunnels. You're not talking about that. Why don't you talk about something real? I'm trying, okay? But there was an interesting thing. I feel like a lot of people ignored. Some mature old man, and I say this, you know, some old school old man mentality, mature, sober-minded maturity coming out of Gavin, completely kind of ignored for some of the more thrilling parts and some of the more, whatever. There was some interesting things, in my opinion. There were some interesting moments. It was a little silly at times. They brought in Zerka. I like Zerka personally. These are people maybe you don't know who I'm talking about, but they had a debate. They had a debate about Zionism, and whatever you say about it, the topic and all that, a lot of young people are really all about this right now, especially in the conservative wing, the dissident wing, young white people, and they had like 12,000 viewers, live viewers, concurrent. I mean, it's not like it's not this little thing that they're definitely have captured the attention of a lot of people with this topic. But there was some pretty interesting, mature old man dad, and I want to kind of go over some of it and kind of maybe free some people from the labyrinth, the maze of hate, blame, and victimhood, but there were some really good points. Okay, Nick Fuentes is a very smart young man, and he's very clear in what he says. I mean, I like clarity and real things, and sometimes those real things can be controversial or whatever, but when explained well, I don't think they are. So there's a bunch of also just random things too. I don't want to get all heavy. What's funny? What's going on? Houthis? No, I'm joking. That's not funny. But taking in the significance of the Houthis thing, I was rewatching the Hague Report. The Houthis. Okay, they're talking about war, man. This big old war is going on over there, involving America. It has to do a little bit with this debate. I kind of want to. Really not. I'm not doing this review going over it. Like, I'm really not. There's just some. I just want to highlight some things, some interesting things. And a little credibility for the anchor baby. He may be a little bit more mature, old man dad mentality than you might think. Not always. Okay, that might be fair, but a little credibility for your captain speaking here. Okay. Oh man, so what's going on in the world though? Let's go. We're 23,000 feet in the air. We want to climb up a little faster there. Okay, FAA. Who cares? FAA, Schmafe. Who cares about FAA? Doesn't care about anything anymore, right? They got these people yelling at pilots. They call them. I'm not gonna call her the K word. They want you to take the migrants into your homes. Welcome them into your homes. Elon's going crazy about that in a good way. On X.com, really going heavy on that. Really trying to show it. Playing clips of Eric Adams. He was saying that like 6 months ago. The same guy who was all like, this is bad, okay? I don't like this, Democrats, actually. This is bad. I care about. I'm a New Yorker, and New York comes first. Okay, I'm a New Yorker, okay? Okay, 1,000 black cops. Okay, look, racism. Okay, look, forget I did all of that. I'm a New Yorker first, okay? And these illegals, they gotta go. I don't know. He's going all like switching tunes, but he was like Elon points out, calling for this same crap like 6 months ago. We're gonna have to just take him in, okay? And this makes me think of left-right dichotomies. What do they call it? Hegelian dialectics. Two sides fighting really for the same end. The fight itself just kind of pushes it further to the agenda of, to the end of where we don't want it. Okay. That is an amazing Eric. I don't think it's that good. We're New Yorkers, okay? Where was I though? Elon Musk. We're flying that plane, that's for sure. 25,000 feet. We're gonna bump up that climbing speed here, okay? Now everybody gonna, you feel a little uptick in speed here. It's all good, okay? I'm a professional. So everybody hold on to your seats. Oh yeah, there we go. Come on. Bump it up. Let's go. Okay, we can lower that. What a flight. Amazing. American Air. Look, this is a commercial flight, and we're doing everything by the book. Pretty much. It's going well. Santino, thank you for asking. You know what? Some say they say I just said guidelines, but it's a new world. Let's throw the guidelines out the window. FAA, you know what? Eat my shorts. 760-515-3855. That's the sound of the seatbelt sign coming off. Just when you sit down, maybe put on your seatbelt. And some of you might think, okay, well, come on, what's gonna happen to me? We're gonna fall out of my seat, huh? We're gonna fall out of my seat all of a sudden. That's why we wear seatbelts on a plane. Well, I don't know if you saw that door that fell off, that door plug that fell off. Kind of makes me think, what if you didn't have a seatbelt on, huh? And a door plug of the fuselage came off. We're not flying a 737 MAX, but it really had nothing to do with the way the plane was built, from what I could tell that story. But the maintenance crews and leaving bolts unbolted Not right. Jose, thank you with the super chat. That means first class is all yours. Welcome to the Ballers Lounge. Please enjoy yourself in the Ballers Lounge, where we have anything you need. Bottomless drinkies and snackies. Jose in the Ballers Lounge. Thank you, sir. Says no comment with his first class super chat. I don't know. Maybe I should have not read that to leave it truly as no comment. So there's your anti-comment comment. Thank you, Jose. Yeah. You know what? I have a buy me a coffee, and I have some people sending me some, and I'm thankful. That's buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. Don't look up with a coffee says, I only fly Anchor Baby Airlines. Here's a cafe. Oh, I think I read this one. Cafe Bustelo for the pilot. What is that? Where my coffee drinkers at? What do you know about Cafe Bustelo? A coffee brand owned by the J.M. Smucker Company. Must be some good coffee. I do appreciate it. Someone bought a coffee. Says some first class 1980s commercial fun. What's going on here? We got some viewer videos going on. This viewer is able to send me a coffee and a link. That's nice. We got a little viewer video. This is called Oozinator commercial. Oh, I know what this is. Uh-oh.
What do you call the new water and ooze blasting oozinator?
Oh, dude, radical. Oh, dude.
Awesome. The new oozinator blaster from Super Soaker. Major pumping required. Refilled sold separately.
Don't get oozed, bro. That's awesome. That's an awesome commercial. Thank you for sending that. The vibe was just right. And there's nothing I know about Bustelo. It's strong and delicious. Nice. Yellow can. You're right. Lol, chill. Chill about what, Jose? What do you mean? They're just children with a super soaker. Sus. What's wrong with you people? What do you say? They're just. This just. You guys go off about this. They're just. Why do you guys gotta do that? 1980s were so inappropriate. See, no one was thinking that. Oozinator, a good way to start a fight. Not a single person was thinking that. You know, some of you guys say, oh, those commercials and movies of that time were trying to influence us and degenerate us. Anybody feeling like we want those back? Anybody feeling like we now with the world and the ads and movies and everything around now, aren't you feeling like we kind of want those back? Those kitschy 90s movies, maybe degenerate, but I want to see what's that you know, those coming of age movies. There's something maybe our standards are lowered. Maybe our standards have been lowered and we've been traumatized and we just want those times back. But maybe that's a pipe dream. Maybe what we need is a true revolution between men and women and men and God. But you know what I'm saying? Doesn't it feel like having that back wouldn't be so bad? They still kind of like, even think about dads. Yeah, they made them stupid. That's kind of the theory is they made them dumb and stupid and they silly and they're always the butt of the jokes. They're always the butt of the jokes, and the mothers and the women dominating the homes. It's like, yeah, you kind of see those in that era in those movies, and way more now. And you think, what were they trying to program us with, man? But maybe I used the word kitschy wrong. Use name. You're smarter than me. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had that like vibe I'm talking about a little bit. But okay, so they made the dad dumb in the movies and all that. But looking back a little bit, there may be another side of the coin here. Because it's kind of nice. Like, yeah, they were making the women. The dad was the butt of the joke. But, and maybe this is a stretch. Okay? maybe this meaning wasn't meant to be there. But check this out. There's something funny. There's something kind of poetic and funny about I know you call it predictive programming. That may be somewhat true for some evil people, but it wasn't all that. I'm just saying it wasn't all that. And even the dumb dad, there's something like special about that. here's what I mean. Like, the dumb dad. Like, think about this for a second. Not that you got to be weak, but imagine you had a wife and she kind of like lies. You know, she's nice and decent, but at her heart she doesn't follow you. And sometimes people can be quite cunning and can hide that. They can look and morph and play the part. You know, you hear it. Oh, you get married the day after the night of the wedding. She switches on you, and it's like, what the heck? Who did I marry? And I think about that. Well, let's say you find yourself in that situation, or maybe this is a black pill, but I don't necessarily believe this. It's all like that. Okay. Well, the only response of the man is to be dumb. You know what I mean? You gotta be the aloof, but just always good. You're just always right and good-hearted, good-natured, maybe a little oblivious, but you're just not that deeply. You guys understand, right? That a man that has like some awareness will be able to see like evil coming and all that. But what I'm trying to say is, I think the dumb good person isn't worried or concerned with the deepness of the conspiracy his wife is up to. You know what I mean? He just stays good. She tells him, "Hey, honey, I love you." I'll just take that as face value. She says she loves me. I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, it's her who's gonna suffer for lying. You see what I'm saying? It's her who's gonna suffer. It's her if she's playing this game, and so the man too, right? They will suffer for their things the same way. But you see what I say about being dumb? There's something special about that, and he's easily judged, the dumb, aloof dad. But he stays good. He doesn't change. Even people are mean to him. He doesn't change. He doesn't change because others people aren't like. He just stays his nature. So maybe I'm stretching it. Maybe they had some Jewish degeneracy programming in those movies. But there's something kind of special. You guys follow me a little bit? The good guy wouldn't be like all concerned about the levels of the conspiracy. You keep it simple, you know. If it's presented, if evil's presented, anger's presented, it's like, okay, well, I could deal with that. If she's playing, and that's kind of that. I think that could be with all things and all people in all situations. You're dumb to the knowledge and what your intellect can figure out, which can kind of send you the wrong way. You're dumb to all that, but you're tuned to what, shall we put it, what's naturally presented to you, what God is showing you. I'm always careful saying those things because I don't want to start talking like as if I'm all connected to that, like I'm all holy. But you guys follow me a little bit? The dumb dad, they're kind of the godly dad. We're not dumb, but you know, maybe you're following me somewhat in this ramble. Chap full of member berries. What's up, Renee? Did I say hi? Yeah. Flying the plane here. And we're about at 36,000 feet. What about Ned Flanders? Yeah, isn't growing up realizing the unaffected dad? Yes, King Blizzard. Steve Strack, isn't growing up realizing Ned Flanders is kind of a boss? Wasn't he like a good dad or something? And his kids were a little weird, but they were generally cool, no? You know what I mean? Ned Flanders, and also he's deezed. Ned Flanders is this is canon, no? He's buff. Ned Flanders is like actually like like an Adonis, and you never see him working out, so you have to assume that simply his Christian lifestyle, his great Christian lifestyle keeps him is growing. Let's go. I'm just saying, folks. Okay, we're flying this pattern beautifully. Let's just make sure we're checking everything here. Our P's and our Q's. This is going to be a nice flight out of Denton all the way to Miami. We'll be landing in Miami for you party heads. But you know, those who need to transfer, Orlando's nearby. We got buses, all that stuff. Stupid buff Flanders. That's an actual quote. Nice. Nick's Christian dozen donuts a day lifestyle. Don't worry about me. I'll get serious, says everybody. They're not dumb or aloof. They just don't care about strangers' feelings. Yeah, and it's not like... Anyways, maybe you guys somewhat understood me. That archetype isn't all bad is all I'm saying. It isn't all bad. And then you just imagine you just stay good and you're aloof and you're somewhat aware sometimes about certain things if it's presented to you, like evil in your wife or whatever. But you're generally like, okay, maybe she's saying she's fine. She says she's fine. She says she loves me. She says, and you keep going. And that just would make someone evil even angrier. And that would just go nuts. And you wouldn't even be doing anything about it. You wouldn't be taking an active role in this I don't know, spiritual thing that's going on in a marriage. You know, whatever, ramble. There was this debate, you know about this debate. So they debated Zionism, and there was speaking of dads and some good old dad wisdom. Even if you got all this fancy knowledge, there was this debate. It was Gavin McInnes alongside this Jewish man. I don't know too much about him. I think it was Alex. What's his name? Green? Adam King, who apparently streams on InfoWars on their network. So he's got a show there. And so it was them two on the side of pro-Zionism, Gavin McInnes. If you don't know, I mean, Gavin is kind of a legend. At least for many of us, I think, who like woke up during Trump and all that. Okay, anyways, that side Zionism versus Vincent James and Nick Fuentes on Zionism. And so there were some interesting moments that I wanted to pick out that I thought were just missed because it got a little, you know, they had their thrills. It was like a thrilling moment when Gavin walked off, and there was a part where Gavin and his own debate partner there, you know, they had a disagreement and we got him and whatever. Gavin is such a horrible man. Why do you say that? But there was some people. There's like people saying, "No, Gavin's particularly weak and all that." But I gotta say, there was some interesting dad with like, okay, maybe I'm stretching this dad thing too much and playing it up too much. But maybe let's just get right into it. I imagine it's probably a good time on this debate, hosted by slightly offensive Elijah Schaefer, putting it down on Rumble.
Make sure that you're following.
And okay, so starting to pick out some parts here. Because it's a thing that I already mentioned this, but it's got people going. But I think we can lay it to rest a little bit here. Just a little bit. With Zionism and all that. Okay, so how do we do this? I really don't want to go through it all. There was some interesting, just kind of some fascinating moments we could pick out. So they have their opening statements, okay? And I guess they're all kind of interesting. You can check it out yourself. Gavin centers around an argument here on the diversity amongst Jewish people and their disagreement amongst each other. And he has a kind of an interesting thing here. You know, it's kind of not related a little bit in that, you know, they're here to kind of debate Zionism. And Nick makes an interesting point here in a moment. But I gotta say, I really like how Gavin handles this. He kind of takes it to a different place. And he just sticks to this. And his whole thing basically is he doesn't like seeing that whites are not taking responsibility for the stuff that's going on with them there. And it's that hate, blame, and victimhood. And honestly, in terms of the rules of the debate and the topic, you can really get them. It's like, well, you're not debating the point, and they do, and they get them if whatever. It's kind of shallow in reference to what I'm really getting at. Well, they get them, but I like that he sticks to this, and he describes these different Jews, he calls them, and how they don't agree. 3 of them, the first 3 here, Hasidim, Orthodox, secular Zionists. They're pro-Israel, and they don't really deal with each other, but and it's there's a whole bunch of these liberal, secular, anti-Zionists. He calls them Ginos, Jews in name only, and he says they're really the ones who they went totally anti-Israel. They're pro-Palestine, and so he's just making this as a point that he just doesn't like seeing white people. Just bunch them all together and blame them for their problems. So how should we do this? Because let's go to 39 minutes in, okay? And I essentially, just to be clear, and I give my answer here right away, I essentially agree with Gavin McInnes on the first half of that. Blaming hate victim, lame. White people blaming Jews and stuff. You're not gonna fix your own stuff that way. You're kind of like the blacks in that way, etc. And then, but the second part of that argument, where it's like, well, he's saying these 4 are different and they don't all join them together. The other guys, the other side, make a really good point, a clear point about how that's not true. They're all very racially conscious, and they kind of stick together. And but I don't know how important that is, to be honest with you. Like that's what groups do, and so I don't really think that point is too important. So anyway, some dad wisdom, huh? Let's do this. What do they get into first? Blood spilt. I just made some psycho notes here. I just wrote blood spilt, but I put it in bold. It's probably good.
Our uncles, our fathers.
Oh yeah.
For these borders.
Yeah. There's a good reason why I put this in bold. He's talking about they argue about the borders. Okay. Yeah, King Lizard, I'm following you. We'll get into all that. They didn't stream this debate on YouTube for a reason. Like I said, I'm not gonna do a full review on this. I just want to point a couple things out. First, dad wisdom. First little bit of dad wisdom. The youngins are just like whatever, boomer. And I was saying this the day this war broke out. If you remember, I went through some history. I was just like, what the heck am I even going to talk about? I don't know too much about that. And I just went over history. Israel's creation, borders, and all that. And here's a little dad wisdom number 1 from Gavin, and a little credibility for the anchor baby on borders. They're arguing borders, and they're wondering, when you say Israel, what borders do you mean? 1967, blah blah blah. And Gavin says, well, it's just the borders of today. That's what matters. And he makes an interesting point. I might as well just let you hear it.
Those houses were built by Jews thousands of years ago. There's so many about what is Israel. It's also Israel, which is Jewish, and the country.
You guys have a Jordan definition, because we're saying. I just want to clarify.
Right here.
The point is that Zionism is that we got to support Israel. But if we don't even know what Israel is, what the hell are we supporting? Is Israel an idea?
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant what Israel is supposed to be. Like when I was 20 in college, I supported, Barack Obama's notion of they need to go back to the borders of 1967. And I remember I was talking to a Jew about it, and he was like, our brothers, our uncles, our fathers spilt blood for these borders. No one's going back on any borders. And I realized at that
his
point,
ancestors spilled blood for these borders, and no one's going back on any borders. This is what I was basically saying, remember? I mean, after going through some history, my conclusion, I can't put it any other way. The Europeans of the time won the war, the Great War, World War I. And they carved up that area that was left without their original owners, the Ottomans, and they carved up that region how they saw fit. And they had different interests and pulls from within their own government in Britain, the parliament. And you could say, well, it was Jews who led the whatever. But the Europeans won the war. They spilt the blood. They paid the money. They paid it in blood, and they carved up that area of the world the way they did. See, I was on a something here. That's how they carved it up. And you can have your disagreements about historicity, and it's like, well, they're Nakbas and they pushed them out, and it's like there may even be facts about that. But the borders that were set by the Europeans, now that is settled. And now go on and have your little fights. I know that involves the U.S. and that gets tricky. But you see me essentially kind of basically on how I'm feeling about the whole thing. And what I was saying when it broke out. I think there's some wisdom in there just to understand that might makes right in a sense. And anyways, maybe historicity is not a word. Don't make fun of me, Mr. Pink. But I'm on to something here, a little dad wisdom, okay? And that's what I was saying. At the outset of the war, you remember? So we'll move on a little fast. I'm feeling a little heady with this topic, and I don't want it to be that really that boring. World War III. They're talking about World War III.
And so, for example, what they're doing right now, they're granting and monetary support of the United States. And so,
yes.
Could not exist,
Okay, I think
would not exist without the support of the United States.
He makes a point about the U.S. and, like I just mentioned, their need they have a need for America to be an ally. Okay.
And so, for example, what they're doing right now, they could not be doing without the security guarantee of the United States. This little incursion in Gaza, this prepared war that they have in Lebanon, their grand aim is to confront Iran and degrade their nuclear facilities. All of this is being done under the security umbrella of the United States. All of this is being done with the material and monetary.
Okay, you got it. So that's Fuentes' main kind of point and issue is America's involvement in a grander conflict that is exacerbated by some of these players over there in the Middle East. Israel, one. I don't know. They never say Iran. Iran is kind of also like another side of the coin, right? They instigate stuff too and false flag and want war just as bad. I know people like to say Israel's instigating World War III, but so is Iran, no? And maybe I'm ignorant. So, but that's Fuentes' main thing, and he's pretty clear sailing on that. The point is, though, what was the point here? Why did I make this section of the interview bold? I think it was because of Gavin's response about World War III. If you're following, tell me to slow. Let me know if I got to slow down here.
Israel annoys me, the 4 billion, whatever it is. It annoys a lot of Israelis, too. I've been to Israel, and I've talked to Israelis who go, we have a self-sufficient GDP. We don't need your money. I don't like the animosity.
They still take it
with your donation. So there's plenty of Israelis that don't want that money. And as far as fighting wars go, yeah, my worst fear is that Israel provokes Iran and we start this World War III shit. I don't even want them provoking Lebanon. But as far as what Israel's done so far to Palestine, I think it's been very kind. And if they were to stop tomorrow, then I would go, that's pretty fair. The amount of Palestinians that died in this war.
I guess this wasn't that deep of a point, but okay. So Gavin gets it on World War III. He gets it, and it's like, okay, we don't want this big old conflict. But what was I? He made an interesting. Here's a little bit of dad wisdom. I think number 2 here. Everybody's talking about false flags. Oh, they knew they were gonna hit Gaza. They knew it, man. You're telling me Mossad, with all this intelligence, they didn't know? They knew it. They let it happen. Okay, a little bit of, I thought, was some unemotional dad wisdom here on the topic of false flags. Check it out.
United States. Without the United States, you know, Israel would be in real trouble from Iran and Hezbollah and the Houthis and the Mobilization Front and all these other groups. And so, I mean, that's my problem with that arrangement. And I forget what the second part of the argument was, but
I'm inclined to agree with you that Israel allowed for that invasion. It doesn't make sense that a tractor that goes at 20 miles an hour was able to invade a place where they can tell if a squirrel farted 3 weeks ago. But we did that in wars. We did that with Pearl Harbor. I think we did that with 9/11. That's the history of war. He
says, I think we did that with 9/11.
False flag events.
You allow some punk to punch you in the face for the first 2 rounds, and you go, see, and then you destroy him. And I have no opinion on that. It's the Bloods and the Crips. It's two gangs, and the Bloods had 10 times the power the Crips had. Like here in New York, there's barely any Crips. And the Crips decided to wage war on the Bloods, so the Bloods just annihilated them. And I'm actually fine with that. I don't give a fuck about the Bloods and the Crips. I'm glad West Bank.
Sun's down, Gavin. No worries. Swear away. Not that he's asking.
Bank is gone. I'm glad Gaza's gone. From the river to the sea, Israel shall be free.
Amen.
But I am an isolationist, and when I hear these hawk neocons like Ben Shapiro say things like, and these are people in our government, talking about how we need to strike Iran now, and we need to do the first attack, like it's in The Sopranos or something. That scares the shit out of me. And I
Well,
think
don't be scared, Gavin. Don't be scared. Don't stay on. You got to be unemotional dad here, man. Don't make me look bad. But isn't that a little bit of a mature kind of take on that? False flags. Oh, they're false flagging. They're false flagging. But it's kind of an act of war. Okay, I get it. You can still have your thoughts on Israel and say, well, you know what? In my opinion, they're committing atrocities. But can you be a little bit more unemotional and clear about it? I know maybe I'm not talking to you, some of you in my chat, but maybe I'm hitting somebody. Can you be a little unemotional about it and not I don't know, hate, whatever. But just thought there was another one on there, a little mature kind of thing there. Okay, they get into the tunnels here. The tunnels in New York. Oh, there's the tunnels. The tunnels under the 𒒏💊💄💌💄💄 place over there in New York.
That's a fair assumption. There have been various explanations given. The first explanation was that they were hiding from COVID. And then even the Crown Heights website updated, because they initially suggested that, they updated the story and said the timeline doesn't add up. That's not why they dug it.
No,
then
there's a future risk of COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever you think, that's still, like, Fuentes is not wrong here. That's pretty much the reporting on it. And I guess you could fall whichever way on this. You know, I was saying too the other day on this, about some theory and the third temple, and then allowing you to sacrifice again. Like, I did really read that, but I'm not making any point here. So don't get all into this tunnel thing, like, for real. Leave it as an I don't know. I think personally, if you ask me, I think you could have. I don't think it's unfounded. I don't think it's totally unfounded to think, okay, something's wrong, something strange was going on there. But here's a little dad wisdom, maybe number 3 here. Check out what he says about the tunnels.
I don't know how plausible that is, though. They then said it was a renovation, or that they were expanding the synagogue. But again,
leave it as an I don't know.
Rather the 770 building. But again, you know, why would you hide the dirt? Why would you hide the dirt that you're in? That is hidden?
Well, you hide the dirt because you don't want the city to know.
It seems
there's no evidence of that. This is all so new. We're talking about something that happened 2 days ago, and
come on now. It's
hold on, right here. There's a part that's cool. Yeah, tunnels are cool. I want the bond tunnels for. We need the not. That's a joke, government. We're not doing anything like that. But yeah, like some of my chat became tunnel experts. Tunnels are cool. Okay. Hopefully nothing. You know, tunnels for protection, for defense, are pretty cool.
This is the thing, Gavin. It's like, why?
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Wrong. Now,
hold on.
That's any report.
I guess we don't need to waste time. But Gavin basically responds to Elijah Schaefer about something. He's just like, do you really think there's sex trafficking babies in a 20-foot tunnel? And then it kind of made me think for a second. Like, isn't that just some simple like logic? Like, you got this network of tunnels that you can't even map and you don't know where they go. And he's like, well, yeah, you can even say you could be trafficking. But there's a 20-foot tunnel. You know where the entrance, where it starts, where it ends. It goes around the corner. It's a 20-foot tunnel. Like, what's the trafficking? Like, walk me through the trafficking. Okay, I'm not saying you can't do horrible things in that same very 20-foot tunnel. But, I mean, isn't that kind of some simple dad logic? What do you get? Walk me through the grand trafficking network in this 20-foot tunnel. Let's move a little faster here. We don't need to do that. Read the Irish. This guy he seemed to be very intellectual to me, but he also was quite insightful in some things that I didn't realize. This guy here, blaming them for everything. Here's the crux of kind of what Gavin was saying. On blame. Hate, blame, and victimhood.
Blatt is pro-Israel. Go, Matt. I also
look at queers who were saying
state over there is said a Hasidic reactionary. No, but there's a dozen examples like this.
All the lefties who were saying ceasefire, all the lefty liberals who were saying ceasefire from day one, NPR, all these left-wing radio stations had nothing but Palestinian rights. They care so much about. Look at Queers for Palestine. Like the left, the Jew left is obsessed with Palestine, and that, by the way, is a white trait. And that is my life goal these days, is to figure out why whites hate themselves so much. This is a white person. Why do whites want their own demise? And I hate when you blame the Jews for everything, because it absolves you of your own self-hatred. Not you particularly, Nick, or Vince, but white people in general. We love to hate ourselves, and Jews are part of that because Jews are white.
All right, let me
you may disagree. You may disagree with some of that, but that's kind of some of the dad wisdom there that I think was pretty ignored when I saw the comments and stuff. We were like, Gavin was like the worst one there. He was like the worst one in a week, and maybe I'm just reading the most judgmental ones. Maybe others saw what I saw here, but there was some interesting parts. It was silly at times too. There was good points by the Fuentes side. Don't get me wrong, on a number of things. Let me see. We'll move a little faster here because some interesting points you might find interesting. About they get into a spat about Catholicism versus Judaism, and I think there's a part that everyone's missing, and maybe I can give you the dad wisdom that everybody missed here. Maybe a little lofty on my claims, but okay, let's go through my segment here. I got to set it up. Okay, what was Nick saying? There were some points he was making about he's arguing against their side. The Zionism side is saying, well, they're diverse, they don't all join up when they're attacked. But there's some interesting parts. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Essentially the part where, and I don't even think Gavin, in my opinion, even I think he made this clear. He was not arguing against Nick on this very point, which he's gonna make very clearly here. Let's watch it. Very, very succinct and, in my opinion, quite clear. And I don't think you could call it Jew hate and stuff. And this is what I mean about. I had a caller the other day about there are some real things in this topic to talk about, and it's like this. It's when you can speak it, when you can present it very clearly. And anyways, I'm rambling on this. I'll show you what I mean here. Let me just show you what I mean.
Get to your point.
What the core of Nick's argument is. Here it is.
Nick, I want to address your point.
Is this an infinite talking time?
Okay. They get into it a little bit. This guy, look, Nick does not like the Jewish guy, and the Jewish guy does not like Nick. He doesn't like the Catholics. I don't think he likes Vincent either. But we'll get into that part. Let's not move too fast.
Time for Gavin and Adam.
Well, address the point. Let's go to Nick on this one.
Well, I just want to say something quickly, and then we got to get Vincent, because Vince hasn't talked since the beginning. But I just want to say briefly, I mean, it's interesting because, I feel like I'm laying out these arguments, and we're hearing just arguments from the other side to other arguments that weren't made, because I didn't really say anything about the civilian casualties constituting a genocide or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I said really it's sort of a might makes right, and you know what? Israel's dominating the region from a strategic point of view. I mean, what they're doing is, it may be wicked, but it's smart, and from a military point of view. What I'm arguing, like to Gavin's point, Gavin said he's worried about World War III. Israel is deliberately drawing us into that against our will. We want a ceasefire because we recognize that that is what the Iranian axis is asking for, and we want to avoid this becoming a regional conflict. Israel wants it to become a regional conflict. That's why, I believe that is why they allowed October 7th to happen. I believe that is why they are currently threatening Hezbollah and striking deeper and deeper into Lebanese territory, and that's this whole situation with the Houthis, and I think the ultimate goal is Iran. So that's what they're doing. That's the problem. Again, that's why Jews are sort of the issue at the top of the elite society, because they're looking out for Israel, and what's good for Israel is blowing up Iran.
Okay, so you may agree or disagree. Personally, I think he's made some pretty clear arguments as to why he believes that to be true, and and he makes it quite clear in this particular argument. He makes it quite clear, in my opinion, that he's not arguing this history or the borders or the Nakba or this or that. He essentially agrees with Israel. I mean, they're there because of some of the things I said, the Europeans, what they did, and what has been continued through might and strategy and military cunning and might and force. You know what I'm saying here? So he's not even arguing all that, and so it becomes kind of like well thought out and clear, and we're not just talking about hate, blame, and victimhood. And so and I think he makes some interesting points on this particular point on what Israel wants out of the region and how does it tie up with our interests and what it might mean, what it might turn into. And if you're interested in finding, you could go watch the debate and see his arguments for that. If there's something that interests you. You guys know it's not really my forte or what I'm into, but I wanted to point that out since we're talking about this debate, out of fairness, out of intellectual fairness here. When you're based, you're based. What can I say? And so that's just my opinion here. That's on that side. Let's finish this segment up real quick. I saw that I've actually had 4 callers and I've had it all muted. I will get to you, and we'll do the calls up here. Let's finish this up because the final most interesting part was not most interesting part, but another notable part was they had a little spat about Catholicism and Jews, and who would the Jewish guy on this panel, who would he rather get rid of, Catholics or Muslims? And he says Catholics, and it's an interesting little moment. Gavin walks off. But I think there's something people are, you guys tell me if I'm stretching it, but I think people are missing something here, in my honest opinion. And I think I could prove to you guys why it's not male and female, black and white, Jewish, Christian, why it's not anything on the outside, why it really is all about the inside, and why anger should be our delineation here. I'm going to prove it to you, I think. So, they get mad at each other about this Catholic stuff. Let me show you the part where this begins. Let me know if I'm going too fast or something. If you're following me here, and just tell me to slow down, or if I'm just screaming into a mic and no one's even following me.
Brought Zircon.
Okay.
I mean, it's been a couple
You've been
minutes.
interrupting more than anyone.
Yeah, that was a dumb move.
So they start arguing about 109. You know, you've heard this. They say they kicked out the Jews out of 109 countries. So it has some place in history, you know, where Christians and Catholics and Jews and Muslims and Jews did not get along in history. It's just a thing based in history. So they're arguing about this. Okay.
Subject entirely.
You know what I find funny?
Wait, hold on.
2 guys who've been to you guys.
Oh yeah, I'm funded by a
Jew.
I am a Jew.
100% on Jews. There definitely is a percentage with these fuckers.
Wait, what's the percentage?
That's a good question.
That's the 6 million people question.
Okay, that's funny, Zerka, but hold on.
Nobel Peace Prize winners.
Where is it? Let me hunt for it. Let me hunt for it.
Israel Hospital in the East Village. There's no Muslim hospitals around there she could have been born in. And again, as I said,
let me hunt for the part. Okay, hold on.
On this. Very briefly, there was a tunnel system discovered that.
Okay, so they're still on the tunnels at this point, and it's silly. I'm with Gavin at this point, and Gavin's like, this is just a stupid topic.
Led back to a Jewish synagogue. This is a particular.
And Elijah's going on about the tunnels. He's like, why does nobody want to tell me about the tunnels? And I think it kind of starts here. Let's watch.
Of Judaism, and as weird as this sounds, there were Jews crawling out of storm drains, and it raised a lot of questions. At first, they began to say we were weird for asking questions. The next day, they blamed rambunctious teens, and this morning, the New York Post blamed illegal immigrants. I am not lying. They said illegal immigrants dug the tunnels underneath.
That's true. I saw that. I think Breitbart reported that. I showed you that the other day. They got migrants is what I read. They got migrants. You know that means illegals. Migrants to dig out the tunnels. the tunnels under the Shabbat.
The synagogue. And to put this plainly, tunnels are not weird. There are tunnels under. It makes me want.
Okay, let's move on a little bit. I believe Gavin is about to respond.
I kind of
here.
want to get your idea of what you think's going on here, Nick.
Well, obviously they're up to no good because it's hidden, and I think that's a fair assumption. There have been various explanations.
Okay, I kind of showed you some of this, right?
Given. The first explanation was that they were hiding from COVID, and then.
Okay, so yes, they argue about the tunnels. It's somewhere here. Thanks for the patience. I'm just hunting for the next part that I wanted to show you, where they get mad at each other about Catholics versus Jews.
And made jokes about it, and they made all kinds of insinuations about. And now
Let's move. We're close, folks.
I think that they're here in this country as their own thing.
Books and all the Jewish artifacts that have been stolen.
Oh.
You can say, my gosh, and you can, throw up your arms, but it's what it is. And you said it yourself. I watched your interview. You said, and earlier in this debate, you said, well, America's great because our Constitution. You omitted the part, which I saw a couple days ago. You said, well, because freedom is a precondition for the Jewish Moshiach to arrive, because freedom allows, Hasidic Kabbalists like you to bring about the Messiah who is going to deliver a vengeance on the Catholic Church. So,
So if you're not following, earlier in the debate, Adam King said something about why he loves America, or essentially he sees America as helping in this thing he finds important for himself. He finds it important that this Moshiach comes back and this prophecy is fulfilled. I don't know about all that, okay? Nick Fuentes seems to have a little bit more information. And he seems to know how the prophecy ends. And that ends with the Vatican being destroyed or something like that. And so he's bringing that up. And so this is where this kind of kicks off a little bit.
No, and you omitted that part. So it's not, oh my gosh.
Let's talk
You're
about
not
the real.
American. You're Jewish.
Listen, since we got brought up with the tunnel subject, let's talk about the real tunnels. And that's the Vatican tunnels, Nick.
There it is.
What's underneath the Vatican tunnels is all the Jewish.
Nick Fuentes is saying there it is because he's basically got him to speak about this, which what you could imagine if you're watching the debate is, Fuentes is believes he's got him revealing his hatred towards Christians. Okay, you following so far? That he wants this prophecy fulfilled. In this moment he describes how the Vatican holds all these Jewish relics, and it's just evil what they're doing, holding on to these relics, and they should give it back to the Jews. Okay, so that's what this guy's into. He's all mad about that. And if you notice in that exchange, he's all mad at Nick too. He's all mad at Nick. He's all mad at Catholics. And if you've really been paying attention in the exchanges, maybe you caught it when you were watching it, Nick doesn't like this guy either. They don't like each other. They got kind of anger toward, in my opinion. I don't know their hearts, but they kind of show anger towards each other, in my opinion. And so here's where it really comes together, okay? Later on, they kind of keep talking about it. It comes up. And they make an interesting point here about the Jews and Black Lives Matter.
At the beginning of the debate, Gavin said, well, you've got, 4 different kinds of Jews, and on the very far left, you got these guys that really even aren't Jews. And then you got these Hasidic Jews, and they really do their own thing, and they don't even think about anybody else. But what's interesting is Adam is on band.video. He's on InfoWars Network, and he's got an American flag behind him, and he talks about these conservative issues, and he loves the Constitution. But did you notice that when it comes to the Jewish people, he sounds like Black Lives Matter? He starts talking about reparations and colonialism and oppression and intolerance and genocide, and all of a sudden, we're hearing the same kind of notes. It's like, well, this fiction that the Vatican wouldn't have to give the Jews back all their stuff, and all the other conquered people too. And like,
you think we should just give those to you?
Well, hold on.
You think that they're yours now?
And there, you can't even help yourself. This is
so. If you're following, he makes an interesting point, and it reminds me of Black conservatives and anybody who's really way too into identity. They can never really be about what's right all the way. Somewhere along the way, their identity gets in the way. Oh, I'm conservative. I'm a patriot, and I love America, and I'm trumped out. Oh, but I'm still black. And you challenge that, you get in the way of that identity. I think it happens with all people. You challenge that identity, they suddenly team up with that identity. And so I think these boys are making a good point. And you start now. You guys maybe are starting to see where I'm coming from and where the true delineation is, which I think they're missing: anger. And I'm gonna prove. I think I'll prove it more here in a moment. So they get you start seeing Nick starts getting this guy's goat. he starts kind of pissing him off. He starts cutting him off. He starts talking out of turn. And Nick Fuentes pretty much has gotten, at this point, Adam King's GOAT, and he's just got him. And you know, when you're angry, you can't think straight. When you're angry, you can't think straight. And okay, so this is kind of like a bit like a key moment. Where is it? Where another point I want to make before showing you the key moment where he says, they ask him, who would you rather in this, if you could pick a religion to get rid of, the Catholics or the Muslims? He picks the Catholics. Before that, though, aren't you seeing why the delineation is anger and nothing else? You see, Nick Fuentes is all smart here, but he's talking about the saints. He's talking about all these different saints and their works and all that. And he's starting to sound like a Jewish or a Muslim person, where they're all into the every work and every word that was written by this prophet and this rabbi. It's just like, why does it have to be so complicated? You got to study and study and study. So he kind of gets into his intellect a little bit. Anyways, not trying to be so nitpicky. Let's move a little faster. Last two things here. Here's the moment where they talk about Catholics and he picks which religion. Okay. And Gavin walks off. He's just like, you know, there's a very interesting moment.
Get rid of one religion. And it was Islam. Adam, if you were to get rid of two religions, okay, if you were given the choice, or you had to get rid of one religion, and it was Islam or Catholicism, which one would you get rid of?
Great question.
Duh.
What?
What'd you say?
Catholicism.
What?
Yeah.
Of course. What do you think? Who
Gavin
do you
says
think you're
what?
talking? You're on the debate stage.
You guys
Gavin,
have to
we've
understand
known
something.
we've
Well,
known
let him
this.
cook. Let him cook.
Let me
him say
explain
this.
myself. You want to hear an explanation, or do you want my one word?
No, we want the go off, please.
All right. So here's the thing. Jesus was a real man, and he brought down a teaching, and he had a vast menagerie of writings, unbelievable amounts of writings. Somehow the Catholics at Nicaea only saw it important to include Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Eusebius points out that the first 15 popes were actually Jews. So in the beginning of Catholicism, when they embraced the other teachings of Jesus, like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, and all these other Gospels, there was a lot more palpability between we can't call them Catholics because they weren't Catholics. Catholicism is really a Nicene.
Did your eyes glaze over? My eyes glazed over at this part too. He kind of just goes off on this diet. He just goes on and on about like, I don't know. He's just saying like Catholics, and he doesn't make too many points, but along in this, what follows a 6 minute, like, there's some interjections, but what follows is like a 6 minute thing on I don't know, this or that, the Nicene Council and the Apocrypha. I gotta let it play a little bit, in fact, because he says some things that people have called my show about.
And it's a Nicene.
So he's all mad about how the Catholics, they didn't even let you guys read all the books. The Apocrypha is so special. Here, I'll just summarize it because I know it. And the Apocrypha is so special, and me as a Jew, you know, I read every little thing that this rabbi and this other rabbi, if rabbi blah blah, he mentioned someone I guess important. If rabbi blah blah, if I heard that rabbi blah 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 in passing said this one thing this one time to this whatever person in passing, I would do my hardest to find out what it is he said, and I would study it. And he makes all these weird. It starts making me think about the people who call my show and like they say about you should read the Apocrypha and get all study. I'm like, where did you get that from? Where did you learn to? Who told you that you need to read all the Apocrypha and all this stuff? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Who told you gotta be all like that? So he's making me think about that. It's starting to make me think that it's not very Christian to be all into all that stuff. And okay, so he goes on. He's saying all these things. He basically, within it all, he doesn't make too many. He makes another point, and it's that he doesn't like that these Catholics and the Vatican is holding on to Jewish relics, that they're theirs. Basically, trying to justify what he said about, you know, getting rid of the Catholics over the Muslims. Okay, you following so far? Okay. And I'll show you one last part before I kind of give you kind of what I was thinking about the whole thing. So you're following, okay? He's saying why he doesn't want the Catholics. He's got his intellectual arguments about it. Gavin responds.
interjecting. But Gavin, this is on your
And
side.
this is his debate partner, right?
Right here. I'll say this: you're with Adam. You let us know your opinion. You basically liquid shat splooge.
Okay, wait, hold on.
For like 20.
Get your opinion because
I am mortified. That
Gavin's pissed. He's about to read he's broke out the protocols of the elders of Zion.
My co-host would rather annihilate Catholicism than Islam, and I say this to said this to Anthony Cumia. By the way, we talked with Cumia yesterday on Compound Censored about the tunnels for like 20 minutes, so that's why I'm so jaded about the subject. But I came to Zionism from Islamophobia. I don't think people understand that. Tommy Robinson and I are the same. Like, he came to Israel and Zionism from his seething hatred of the Pakistani grooming gangs. And I came to Zionism from my seething hatred of Islam after 9/11. I'm a raging Islamophobe. I don't think Islam is compatible with the modern world. I don't really care about Jews that much. I've never really looked into the Holocaust. It's not a thing. I have, Jew pals, but I came to Judaism from the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So when my friends prefer Islam to Catholicism, dude, I gotta say,
the truth is that
the
truth is
Gavin just got converted.
The thing is that they would.
I think that this is a little bit too complex for you guys. Let me ask you a question.
Hold on. It was my turn to speak. I have barely gotten to speak
without.
Hold on a second here. Just like they would happily replace white people with Muslims in what's happening.
Like that.
Listen,
Gavin says
Gavin
that
here's like,
Gavin,
so are you really thinking like that, man?
Let's really talk about this issue. Gavin,
come on.
I have a
Don't
very
be like that.
And he's like, let's talk about it, Gavin.
Listen,
don't abandon me.
I
We
have
were
a very
oppressed for
strong
2,000
commitment to
years.
retrieving the lost artifacts of the Jewish people, which are held by the Vatican.
And he's still on. And so after all that, he's still on the Jewish artifact thing. He's like, they stole the artifacts, man. And so at this point, Gavin just walks off.
I don't think that the Vatican represents. Let me ask you a question. Here's
Let's
a real
go.
question. Here's a real question about.
And so, okay, so hopefully you've been following all the way up till now. And here's what I got to say about that. Maybe I can offer something here. And where I think the actual line is, and what we really got to care about. And I don't mean, and when I say care about, I don't mean really care. In my opinion, and tell me if you guys can disagree. I'll have the lines open in a moment. We'll take a little break, and then you could call in about whatever you want to call about. We won't do such heavy things on the other side of the break. We'll just do fun stuff, land the plane. But tell me what you guys think. In my opinion, this Jewish guy didn't even mean to say, he didn't really mean he'd rather get rid of Catholics than the Muslims. I think he's just mad at the Catholics, and he's mad at Nick, and he's mad at the Groypers, and he's mad at people who speak frankly and make fun of Jews and do the Jewish voice like he's been doing. Nick Fudd, he's been like rude. You could call it rude. I say whatever. Just like he's also been quite. I think, he says like, I'm just joking, man, and he's been kind in my opinion. But look, you follow me here? I think he's just mad at Nick, and if he was an honest person and a person who had some self-control and like self-reflection, he would say, you know what, man, I didn't mean that. I was just pissed. Okay, maybe this is ridiculous, like I'm mind reading this guy, but this is honestly the impression I got when I watched the whole thing. And he didn't really mean that when you really look at Muslims and Catholics. And this guy, him being on InfoWars and what he says he believes in, you may disagree on the Jewish stuff, but what he says about the Constitution and all that, I don't think he really means that. And he's just kind of like mad. And just like how he doesn't like Nick and the Catholics, Nick doesn't like him. And he's doing the voice and all that. I think it's funny, and it's all in good fun for the debate.
About Catholicism.
But you follow me here, and I think it kind of adds a little bit too when you see what Gavin said about Islamophobia and his seething hatred for Islam is what brought him to Zionism. That has its own blindness. You know what I mean? That comes with its own blindness. He didn't even know who he was debating with. So the delineation here is emotion and anger. we already know the truth. Boys, we already know the truth. Unless you disagree with what we're talking about on Bond and everything we're doing. That's fine. You're welcome to disagree. But that's the delineation here. You follow me here? Because we can see even in this exchange where a Catholic or a Christian can go wrong in their thinking and behavior. The divider, the litmus test, and this is not so that you go around judging people either. Oh, that person's angry, that person's not. But the delineation here is not even what they're talking about. Not at this total core. Am I just talking nonsense here? So that's kind of what I was thinking about this. Just kind of my thoughts about the whole thing. Yeah. Because obviously, if he was not angry, if he didn't have a problem with Nick or the Catholics, and we could probably have a similar thing for the other side, I think he would see, because you would have no other choice but to just see the frank truth of the matter, which is that obviously you're not going to get rid of Muslims over Catholics, and tripping out about some artifacts at some Vatican is not that important. If you were to drop the anger, you wouldn't care about the artifacts. You would forgive. And you would see, you know what I mean? And then you would be honest and be like, you know what, Nick? I didn't mean that. That's ridiculous. You just got my goat by doing the Jewish voice. Oy vey, and you got my goat. And when you asked me, Catholics or Muslims, I picked Muslims over you. And we can kind of almost extrapolate that to our own behaviors in our own lives, in our own individual lives. Like, how many times have we given people the wrong impression and brought more hate into the world instead of love by just simply reacting angry and reacting emotionally with our love, with the people we call our friends, our loved ones? We say we love them. So anyways, that's just what I was thinking about. Hopefully you enjoyed some of that. Let's move on. Let's just move on from this. We got some fun stuff. We got to land the plane. I know people have been calling in. So here's what we'll do. We'll take a little breaky poo. Shout out to our those in the Baller Lounge. Much appreciated. Thank you for your support. Always supporting the show here. The Ballers Lounge. Okay, folks, take a little kick back, relaxy here. And I'll come right back. Take a little stretch. Your captain's got to stretch his legs, come down the cabin, and maybe grab himself some drinkies and snackies. And our flight attendants will be coming down to help all of you as well. Thank you so much. I'll be right back.
But you know, back in 1983, back in the 90s, you know, we did have children dying every week of meningitis, and you know, I remember doing rounds with my dad, and almost every day he'd need to go to the hospital and take care of a child that had some sort of vaccine-preventable illness. And you know, with the increase of vaccines, we've seen a huge decline in some of the really nasty things that I'm so glad I don't have to deal with. You know, epiglottitis, meningitis, you know, a lot of pneumonias. You know, kids just aren't dying of that sort of stuff anymore. And as a pediatrician, that's the last thing I want to see is for people to stop vaccinating, because we'll start seeing kids die of polio again.
Okay, let me tell you this. We do not need that many vaccines.
1994, we added only grade.
That still contains mercury. Hepatitis B, go ahead. Wait,
the devil is always in the details, and one of the problems with vaccines is they've been so great that people overly generalize about them as if they're only great. We looked at other first world countries. We're 34th in under 5 mortality, behind such luminaries as Cuba and Slovenia. However, we have 36 vaccines. The top 5, which include countries like Finland, Norway, Iceland, average 11 and 13 vaccines. From 1990 forward, we added 8 vaccines to our schedule. There are vaccines like flu, rotavirus, varicella that have only been picked up by 2 or 3 of the other 30 countries. So what do they know that we don't? Why aren't they picking up vaccines that have been around for 15 years? And why are their autism rates 1 in 1,000, 1 in 1,500, 1 in 2,000? It doesn't take a brain surgeon or an ER doctor to figure out there might be a correlation.
We don't want to be too narrow-minded and say it's only the vaccines and ignore other potential problems.
In my opinion, and this is just me wanting to have an open debate about this, vaccines are really the one thing we have looked at as causing autism.
Yeah, that is completely bogus. That is such a bogus statement. How many vaccines have they looked at in these studies? How many? What's the answer? It's 2. How many ingredients have they studied of 35? What's the answer? It's 1. You've looked at 2 of 36 shots and 1 of 35 vaccines, and you're going to stand on the stage and say that vaccines and autism are unrelated? It is the most bogus tobacco science. It's a smokescreen, and anybody who takes the time to read it would agree. I'm so sick of doctors who don't read the studies, who don't know the details, sitting here telling parents and reassuring them that vaccines don't cause autism. It is irresponsible.
And this is the biggest problem, and the reason that doctors in this country are frustrated.
Read the
because,
science.
Listen, all you're doing is you're antagonizing a medical community that wants to help these kids.
You haven't done the research.
You're antagonizing me. You're antagonizing Dr. Sears. Why would you do that? This show is all about
my son.
Okay, you know, and it's okay. Everyone wants to blame someone, right? Yes. This is what we're trying to figure out here is how to help kids.
Before you begin taking on the Evil 7, you'll need to know what asthma triggers are. An asthma trigger is anything that makes the inflammation in your lungs worse, which causes you to breathe really fast, cough, or feel tightness in your chest. Although not all people are affected by the same asthma triggers, the most common ones include cold air, exercise, and things you're allergic to, like dander from animals with fur and pollen in grass. Sometimes things that don't seem like asthma triggers can act like asthma triggers, such as getting scared, even laughing or crying really hard.
Here's one thing, Jenny, and you know I've got to know.
I'm muted this whole time. Lord. What the heck? Was I saying anything? When was I talking? When was I not talking? We can't even hear him. I was saying, yes, like username is saying Tokyo Drift plane. I was saying we're crooked right now. We're flying crooked. And I don't know if it's a setting. I don't know if it's because I got the autopilot on funny. But we're flying crooked. It could be that we have a very strong headwind. Or a crosswind, I believe. And a very strong crosswind does cause you to fly crooked. And in fact, you have to land crooked. And I was trying to tell you guys, I'm not trained for that. I'm not trained for a crooked landing, a crosswind landing. But you know what? I think we'll just cross that bridge when we get there, huh? We don't got to worry about that right now. We're in the air. We're not falling out of the sky. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, we'll just deal with that when we get there. So we're flying crooked, but that's how we're gonna do it. We'll just figure that out when we get there. If we're still crooked, we'll just figure it out, okay? The e-brake is on. Yeah, do I have any flaps on? No, that's not it. Gears up. Whatever, we're flying crooked. We'll figure that out later. No biggie. I was wondering how much flight do we have ahead of us, and I'm saying I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. What else was I saying to you guys while I was muted? I don't think I was saying much. Just talking about the flight a little bit. And I was seeing if we had any more first class super chats. I believe we do. Excuse me, a little sneeze. I think I have some first class super chats here. Hold on. Balla's Lounge. Okay, Carver 531. Thank you so much, sir. Come on down to the Ballers Lounge. The Ballers Lounge. Wait, where's the Ballers Lounge? There's the Ballers Lounge. Yes. Sit here and enjoy the spoils of the Ballers Lounge. He says, getting closer to Soul Plane every week. Appreciate that. I got some coffees too. Renever says, one café de olla with piloncillo and canela for everyone. That is nice. And I definitely enjoyed my café de olla on my time in Mexico. I like saying that. I like saying Mexico like I'm some tourist from the Midwest. Ooh, my trip in... I want to tell you all about my trip in Mexico. But thank you, Renever, for the coffees and for the café de olla for everyone. Anyone who likes one, make sure to flag your lovely flight attendant for some. And sir, sit in your Balla's Lounge seat, your first class seat. Thank you for that. Ralph with the 3 coffees says, hey Nick, I hope you're well. Keep up the great work. Ralph, sit in your Balla's Lounge, you balla. You absolute baller. And all my ballers in Rumble and D-Live can take your seats as well. Thank you. Yes. Yes. A Colt 45 for Rome 13, please. Being back in low class and all. Nick will get his pilot license in the future, and it will be awesome. Stephen will, wouldn't that be nice, huh? A dream for the near future, maybe. An actual anchor baby in the air. Wouldn't that be a goal of the channel? Nice. Okay. Someone said they want me to do this from a train ride. I've been thinking the same thing. I've been wanting to do something like that too. Do a train ride Nick stream. I think we can make it happen. I think we could do that. Yeah, you're right. Another anchor baby in the air. Wouldn't be the first. Looks like I got a call here.
Donning Armor.
Ah. Donning Armor, sir, you're on the air. Hello. Donning Armor.
Hello.
What's up, sir? You're on the air. Appreciate your call.
How you doing, buddy?
No complaints here. Flying beautifully. No tech, not trying to jinx it here, but souls on board are happy, and I think we're going to be landing fine.
How much money would it take to send you to have you fly into Mecca or like the Wailing Wall or something like that?
You want to go international?
Yeah, we could do it.
I've been wanting to go international. You know, I had someone super chat my show, another baller earlier. He's been saying that he's gonna go international this year. I think you're onto something here. Are you chartering a flight to Mecca? Which one? If you're gonna charter a flight, and I don't know if there's any runways in Mecca and the Wailing Wall, but I think we could figure something out here. Which one are you picking? What's your target?
We don't need runways.
We don't need runways where we going.
No, you just fly right into that.
You sounded a little terrorist.
You would make a lot of money if you did.
You sounded a little Semitic, my friend. Are you taking the example? Are you learning from your Semite brothers? And wanting to, in your desire to commit terrorism?
Sir, I condemn violence of any kind. Goodness gracious, heavens to Betsy.
No, thank you for that. You know, I'm really the sane one, and really you're the example here. And we're going to calm it all down here, all this rhetoric. And you're absolutely right. We condemn all. No, and this is not even, you know, we're having sarcastic jokes here, but I really, truly am not about violence.
Yo, I really am truly not. Well, no, maybe I can't go that. But I'm talking about flying into Mecca in Minecraft.
Nice.
Not talking about.
I sure love causing up a ruckus in the virtual world in Minecraft.
Yeah, but Minecraft, anything goes. I wanted to talk to you about this thing about the tunnels in New York. Yeah, I saw that you were covering it a little bit earlier.
Somewhat. Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw that you were covering the story earlier, and I find it interesting that there's certain, people that are very politically minded. Ben Shapiro, Bill Maher, they're oddly quiet when it comes to this story, aren't they? I haven't heard anything. Have you?
To be honest, I haven't been paying attention if they've said something.
You're
saying they haven't?
Haven't, as far as I can tell.
And why do you? Yeah, go ahead. Go on. You can expand. Why do you see it important? Why is it wrong that they haven't touched on it?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? I mean, they have some money in this game, do they not? Ethnically speaking.
Do you blame them? I don't know about the money part, but do you blame them not wanting to speculate on something that you can't confirm and wanting to stay away from a topic? Can you blame, first of all, anyone, and then on top of that, someone who's Jewish? It sounds to me like a logical course of action.
Oh.
Because what's like really proven about these tunnels? Like, what is it?
I don't know, because haven't they filled them in now? I don't know what the investigation is going to uncover. But don't you find it interesting? Because you don't blame them for caring about their ethnic group, right? Their religious and ethnic background. You don't blame them for that, so you have no problem there.
Wait, that I don't have a problem with these people you mentioned not talking about it because they're defending their own?
Yeah, Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher are completely ignoring something that's really weird. I mean, let's be honest with each other, tunnelling under buildings.
But that's the most you can say about it.
Well, I think you could say quite a bit about it, but you have no problem.
You could say quite a bit about it, but it would be speculation. Go on, my bad.
You have no issues with Jews just completely not addressing this when their entire careers are based off of speaking about things of this nature, political things and things of that sort. You have no problem with it. You don't think that it's kind of weird?
Well, following your logic, what political thing are they going to talk about here? There's nothing proven. This is these tunnels. I haven't been following if they've been commenting on it or not, but the news that we got so far is like, okay, seems to be like a rebellious group within this. There's some connections to some strange things. There's some stories about how there used to be some weird sexual stuff going on with people related to this group. So I don't know. Like, it's all speculation, though, man. It's all like, did you see what I played about what Gavin said? It's just like speculation. What can you say about it? Like, do you honestly believe? Let me ask you. What do you believe is going on at those tunnels?
Oh, I have no idea. I wasn't there.
Right. So I
the
mean,
one thing that I can say is that lives have been put in jeopardy through that, because the structural integrity of, I think, several buildings has been compromised to the point where they filled the tunnels in. So there is that.
So that's the most you can say about it. So can you really blame someone? Let's go simply here before we get into the Jew part. Can you blame someone in just media and politics not touching on it? Can you really say anything about that?
No, I'm not
with what you've
blaming
concluded
them for anything. I'm saying that they're hypocrites, and I'm saying that they're biased, and it shows, right? When it comes to their own
may be true,
kind.
but can you like a Jewish person not wanting to comment on this when nothing is proven? Makes sense. That totally tracks. Even someone who wasn't Jewish not commenting on this tracks.
They've had entire lives, right, where that's how they made all of their millions, and that's how they're making their money. And they talk about issues like this in regards to other groups of people. But now there's something really weird that's gone on in New York. They have nothing to say? You don't think that's
But you're jumping the gun is what I'm trying to say. You're just
I'm
jumping
not
the gun.
jumping
You're
the gun.
just your reaction is unwarranted at this level and this stage of thinking is unwarranted. If there was something credible, if you could point to me something credible that something strange is going on, well then now it's somewhat interesting, I guess. And then maybe you can make an argument as to, well, these people who aren't commenting on it's for nefarious reasons. Then maybe you could somewhat make an argument. I would still wonder what the importance is about it. Go on.
Odd is going on. They broke the law.
Right, and the police got involved, and they're dealing with that.
Exactly. So we're going to have to wait until the investigation clears. But did Bill Maher wait on any story about Donald Trump, grab him by the hoo-ha? Or Ben Shapiro, did he wait on any story about Joe Biden's son with the snorting the fun stuff? No. Like, they don't wait, but now they're waiting.
Right, but I think it's just it's the wrong level of reaction here, man. Don't you see how this is like the wrong thing to even focus on? Like, that's not even a fair comparison when it comes to something so silly like the tunnels. To be like, oh well, they talk about all this, like all the things you mentioned that they talk about. Well, those things seem shallow too. You said, oh well, they pick out any time Hunter Biden was talking about some crap here. Well, that's shallow too. So
I'm not.
What you've proven to me is that these people you're talking about are shallow people, and so I don't expect.
I'm
them
pointing
to.
out the fact, and you know what, Nick? You hate Jesse Lee Peterson. I don't really listen to Joel Friday. Sorry, man. He's a cool dude, but. I don't listen to the other guys. But you guys do the same thing. You like to focus on things if it's at the other side of the political aisle. I'm not saying that some nefarious, creepy, weird stuff was going on in those tunnels, but they broke the law and they actually put people's lives in danger by making the structural integrity of several buildings unsafe. Right, so
I'm not disagreeing with you there. I'm just pointing out that you are focusing on particular Jews in the media who aren't saying what you want to say, and it's not coming out of and I'm just trying to point out that it's not coming out of a sound criticism, but out of you don't like these Jews aren't saying what you want them to say. When you look at the actual points underlying your criticism here, well, there's nothing to talk about. So everything you said is already dealt with. Oh, well, it's a structural problem. Yeah, that's why the NYPD got involved, and that's why they're filling it up.
No, so it's a criminal problem.
Right, and people got arrested
and put people's lives in danger.
Right.
And we don't really know what the circumstances are. So I'm not saying that any
So your gripe is unfounded.
No, what I'm saying.
You cut off there.
You
You got to repeat that, Donnie Armour. We lost you there.
You are a pundit. You are a talking head, and you speak on politics, political issues. That's what you do. That's what Jesse Lee Peterson does. That's what Bill Maher does. That's what all the rest do. Nick Fuentes and everybody else, right? That's what you guys are. And you make money off of it, right?
I have some support, yes. I have people who support me.
I'm not saying that you're a multimillionaire, don't worry. But
No, I'm following you. I'm not disagreeing with you. Go on.
Okay. So it's just funny how when the narrative, some story is uncovered and the narrative doesn't look too good to your side, in your case, it would be Christian conservative, correct?
Fair enough.
Okay. So you don't attack Donald Trump because his brother was an alcoholic and drank himself to death, right?
No. But I mean,
so why do you criticize Hunter Biden because he snorted some Ayo for yayo?
I don't do that.
Yes, you guys do. You
No,
guys
we
bring
don't.
it up all the time. You
What the
report
heck?
on it all the
Are you
time.
actually what? Do you even watch the Bond Network? We did.
I've
Tell me
watched the
who's
Bond
talked about
Network.
Hunter Biden's drug problems?
Dude, I've listened into the Bond Network for like.
Wait, no, sorry. Tell me who's talked about Hunter Biden's drug problems, and it wasn't, and it was all just about bringing up nasty stuff, and it wasn't with some awareness to say, look at this is a dumb thing to care about. The only time I've ever brought up Hunter Biden's drugs is to say what you're saying, that conservatives are missing the point bringing that up, and they have no love. And I go after conservatives too because they're so weak and all that. So that's just me talking about me, but you're not wrong in what you're saying, and that we get. Look, I wanted to ask you, these people that you're saying, like you're talking about us, for example, and other conservatives and pundits, what about all the stories they don't touch? There's plenty of stories they're not touching on every single story. You're not mad about that? They're not touching on. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not touching on. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not touching on all this news. And you don't seem to have a problem with the stuff I'm not touching on.
No, you touch.
I guess my thing is, what can you explain to me? Because let's say you could point to me, look at these conservative pundits who are avoiding a story because it makes their side look bad. That's one thing. But then when we talk about this story in particular, can you, Donnie Armour, explain to me the two sides of the political aisle with this tunnel story, and who's looking bad and what's being hidden here and what people don't want to say? What is it? What am I missing?
No, I think that you think that I'm coming at it from a different angle. I'm not coming at it from that angle. I do this too. Everybody does, in my opinion. We approach things from our own perspectives. Okay, so I hear a lot of criticisms made by conservatives towards liberals, and many of them I agree with. I think they're merited. However, there's many criticisms that come from liberals against conservatives, and some of them I agree with. I think that they're merited. But we have to understand, everybody comes at these issues from their own perspective. And when we listen to talking heads, like Jesse Lee Peterson, like Nick Fuentes, like Ben Shapiro, Bill Maher, so on and so forth. And you could bring in the other pundits like Ali Velshi and the liberal ones. They're all doing the exact same thing. And that is, they're protecting their castle and trying to destroy the other one. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
I don't think it's unfounded what you're saying.
In the case of Bond, and I've been listening to Bond for like probably 8 years now, something like that, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I don't even know. I couldn't tell you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, no, and I support you guys. I lean more towards your side of the political aisle than I do to the liberal side. But I'm just pointing out the fact that you guys do selectively cover stories that are going to engage your audience, who happen to be right-leaning people, by and large, and they happen to be Christian people, by and large. Now, Nick Fuentes claims that Catholicism is going to save the world. Jesse Lee Peterson says that Christianity is going to save the world. You can kind of count those as the same thing. You get Muslims that think that that's going to save the world, Jews that think that that's going to save the world. And they're all espousing their own understanding of things that are going on, and they selectively pick these stories because they know that they might trigger people, they might, and you guys you guys twist things a little bit. Look, I'm not one of these dudes that's like, look at me, I'm a Catholic trad alpha male, like Jesse said. I'm not that. You know what I mean? You know me. I'm a weird thing, but nobody even really understands. And I don't even understand it. But I'm not going around telling people, act and behave and believe what I believe, and that's going to save everything. You guys, you think that if everybody turns Christian, you're going to save the world. No, you're not. They didn't do it. They never have. They never will. That's not how it works. We got to take sides. Now, those Jewish people that I mentioned, Bill Maher and Ben Shapiro, they've taken their sides, right?
I'm following you, man. I have totally a response to you. You're saying right?
Yeah,
can I jump in? I want you to finish what you're saying.
Yeah, they've taken their side. Jesse Lee Peterson has taken a side, all right? And you guys are all sticking to it. Jesse Lee Peterson doesn't bother with the race issue, but he certainly bothers with an identity issue, and that is to love God and know God and do good and be good, whatever the hell is what he says. And that's fine. That's his position. But he judges other people who take different positions, such as myself. My position is my kindred, my folk. My position is Western world for Western people, white people for white people. That's my position. Now, you could disagree with it, but what's the difference between him taking his side on his position and me taking mine? What's wrong with what I'm saying?
I'm following. Yeah, it's a fine topic, a fine question. I want to jump in. You know, you may be right about pundits, man, and about what you're saying, and it really points to something. You may disagree. It really points to how all people are. It's what we talk about, man. Anger. All people pick their sides. All people have their group, and they all defend their thing, including some of the people you mentioned, I'm sure. I was just wondering why that's so important to you, and what that's going to change. And it's like, okay, fine. Let's let that one rest and say you're right. Fine. These people they don't want to talk about the tunnels because it looks bad. Although, out of all the points you could have picked on when someone is being facetious about, their side versus the other one, out of all the points, the tunnel one is kind of weak. That's kind of the other point I was making. It's because, like, we don't know anything about the tunnel. So it's like, that's the wrong one to get mad at someone about. But that being said, to answer the main thing that you're talking about here, I just wanted to point out, you're saying all these things about these people, but I gotta say it's quite different with Jesse and what we're doing here, because JLP doesn't want to save the world, like you're saying. He doesn't want to. That's the part you're missing. He doesn't want to save the world at all. He doesn't. He says quite clearly that he doesn't think the country's coming back. He knows most people aren't going to be Christian. He knows like the Bible says, most are going to the way of destruction. Most are going to the wide road of destruction. He's not out here trying to make people think like him. You may be, in my opinion, maybe in your head, or judging that part that we all have. When we believe what we believe, we think others are wrong, and all people do that. Jesse included to some degree, and I guess what I'm trying to point out there is that, is it always judging, or is it just like what you do? You discern and you have your beliefs, and it doesn't necessarily mean judgment when you disagree with somebody. You just believe what you believe. So we're not trying to save the world. And you know what? Our reporting, just to finish off here, and then you can respond all you like. Our reporting isn't just cherry picked, okay? Like, we pick it for I'll talk for me. I pick stuff for my audience and all that, but I don't just pick it. I don't just pick it for that reason. It's true what we're reporting. Tell me what we're wrong about. Tell me when I'm reporting and putting together the story and putting together the image for. I truly believe it. I think it's true what I'm talking about. I think I'm talking about the important things. I truly do. So in that, and you're welcome to respond to anything I've said so far, but I do have a specific question for you. In our reporting that you say is picked, okay, it's not just picked, okay, it's true. You're saying we twist things. Do you have any examples? What is it in our picked reporting that you say is picked to like trigger people and all that? In that, is there anything that's not true? And if you can point out something twisted, please do. I'd like to know.
That's like a vague question.
No, it's quite a specific question. What am I twisting and what am I wrong about?
No, I'm not going to name some one specific thing. That's not the point that I was trying to make to begin with.
But you kind of should if you want to make that point. If you want to say that I'm twisting something.
I'm not making, Nick. I'm not making that point.
Okay.
The point that
It
I'm
should be a
trying
fine
to
point to
make.
make. I just would ask you to maybe
You've
have an example.
You've already agreed with me. You said that we all have our biases, and talking heads and the pundits, and just like the social media and the mainstream media, they pick and choose which stories they wish to cover and which ones they don't, and they do that on purpose. Because if they feel that it conflicts and makes them look bad, then they're going to avoid it. I do the same thing.
But
everybody does.
Fair enough.
Said everyone does.
That's
So-
fair and a fine point. So
Yeah,
is
and
there
Jesse
anything you could point
Peterson-
out that I've done in that way? Because it'd be nice to talk
Jesse
about it.
Pe-
I'd like to know if I'm wrong about something.
Yeah, well, you and the other guys, you guys do the same thing as well because you're looking at the world from your perspective. I'm just pointing out that fact, and I find it quite interesting that, the juice in the world doesn't point out the things that the juice do that is bad, and they're doing that strategically. Now, all I say is that maybe my people can do the same. It seems to be working out for everyone else. Why shouldn't it work out for us? I
wouldn't say it's
wouldn't be
working out, though.
upset with you for sticking up for the people that agree with you or the people that are ethnically connected with you. I wouldn't be upset. I would expect it. I think that you should. But there's one group of people that aren't allowed to love themselves and to stand up for themselves. We all
You're
know
right,
what
man.
that
You're
group
absolutely right. I think what you're saying should be totally allowed and should never even be used. People shouldn't even bat an eye if it's happening, and you should throw away your judgments if you see it happening. I think it's totally fine what you're saying. But you said another claim. You said, well, it's going very well for all these people. I gotta say, I don't think it is, man. Jews got problems. They got anger. They're female dominated. They got trauma. They're worried about the white people rising up and another Hitler and blah blah blah, and it's all, and they're willing to flood their host countries with diversity to stop it. It was seemingly some, I don't say all, because you're saying oh, these Jews, they all think the same, but they won't even criticize themselves. When I think I could point to sections of the Jewish populace that, I mean, there's literal rabbis on the streets alongside with the Palestinians. So I mean, I don't know how true it is what you're saying there. That being said, on what I was saying though, I forgot, but I made somewhat of a point there.
Well, it's okay. No, I think I understand where you're going. But look, I think that Jews should be for Jews. I think that whatever you are, what is it, Colombian or something?
I don't know.
Whatever the heck you are.
My daddy might have been Cuban. Maybe he was Puerto Rican. I don't know.
You should be for your people. Blacks should be for blacks, and whites for whites. Whites are the only ones that aren't allowed. And I will follow up really quick and just say that Hitler didn't just spring out from the ground like a Morlock Jew in New York. He didn't just pop up out of the ground. All right, Hitler was there for a reason, because he was created, because Germany was done a disservice. They got bombed to the ground. A great nation turned to rubble, people starving and suffering, and desperation is going to cause, eventually you're going to get somebody that's going to be a leader. And if Jews continue doing what they're doing to the Western world, or blacks, or anyone else for that matter, white people are going to respond. This isn't just a one-way street.
And it's the manner in which they respond that they will show the world if they really are the God-fearing white people from before, or if they're just angry just like the people that they're going to be reacting to. They'll be no different than them. And so I gotta say, like I said to you, man, I don't. Nobody should bat an eye and get angry if white people would come together as freedom of association. I completely agree with you, man. But I'm saying I don't think that's like this grand answer you're talking about, because these people who are all into their race, like you're saying, is working out for them. It's really not. Blacks, it's not working out for a single. I don't think you can name me one single race who sticks together the way you're saying, like the Jews and blacks do, that are doing well in terms of. I know you look at the Jews like they got a lot of money and stuff, but they got problems, man. and they're not liked. They're not liked by where they are, and so on that, I just don't think that's a good point.
I'm not talking about.
Can I drive it home before you answer? Can I drive it home? Can I drive it home before you answer?
Excuse me?
Can I drive my point home before you answer?
Please, by all
To
means.
that effect, look at the I had a conversation with someone just the other day, I think, just yesterday, IQ, and this person was completely correct. Mark from California. He was saying, well, what do you think is going to happen to America if we follow these trends of IQ and immigration? Well, it's the end, man. It's the complete end. You will not have the people who made this place. It'll all fall apart. You'll have literal planes falling out of the sky. You need the people with the IQ. I don't know exactly what IQ means exactly. I know they say certain things, but look, there's a certain percentage of high functioning IQ people you need that this society requires. It was built that way. That being said, that's not the full picture. That's not the full answer. Why is it that these high IQ people are disappearing and they're not making babies? It sounds to me like there's a deeper thing. You're saying the answer is just let white people come together like they do, like these other groups. I'm telling you, these other groups are suffering too. They too are missing what the Europeans used to have. I know maybe you disagree, and it's maybe poetic language at this point, and I'm rambling because I'm maybe not understanding myself. But I gotta say, man, I think the evidence is there that it's not just IQ and racial coming together. So the white people, the Europeans, they lost something along the way. They seem to they have maintained their IQ. Don't you agree? They maintained their IQ, but they can't maintain their society. What's missing? What do you think?
Well, I think the fact that they've built the greatest societies and civilizations throughout history, that's the reason why they're being flooded with people that aren't them and taken advantage of. Now, I don't care about the IQ thing, okay? Like, if you follow the IQ argument, Asian people, Northeastern Asians, and Ashkenazi Jews are more intelligent than white people. That doesn't mean anything to me. What means something to me is that they have a sense of identity, and their first and foremost, most important factor is the health and well-being and prosperity of their own. So they do that on racial grounds. Why don't we try it out? Well, I think that you're white, buddy. So
that's right. You're in my
Spanish
intro.
in you.
You're in my American Anchor Baby intro saying that.
Yeah, I know I'm in your intro. I've seen actual Amerindian Aztecans and Mayans and stuff. You don't look anything like them.
I'm a castizo, man. I'm just a castizo, basically.
I know you are.
And so really, I'm no different than most Hispanics. We're all. I kind of this is how I see it. They're just all just a bunch of castizos, mestizos.
Well, not everybody's
There's difference in
perfect,
like regions, and that makes you kind of quite different at times, and it would be mixing. But it's all castizo, mestizo to me.
When I use it by Jared Taylor's terms, I don't know if you know who he is, but he basically, essentially encapsulates it by saying, typically when you think of white people, you know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about Europeans and their descendants. It's obvious, right?
I gotcha. I think so.
Unless you're going to ask me, like,
really quite think about
walk
it like
up to a black dude and say, like, "Whoa, black doesn't even exist. Like, what does it even mean to be black?" Huh. We all know what it means to be black.
I don't know. I've never thought about it like this. I saw it as just like for example, a Spanish person. I didn't see as white.
Yeah, Spaniards are white. They come from Europe.
Wow.
They're white.
No way.
What?
I don't know. I just got to think about this deeper. Man, plenty to think about there. Man, I don't want to split. I could spend more time here, but I got callers coming in, and I feel like we spent a lot of time here, man. Last thing you want to say before you move the wheels here?
Yeah, I just wanted to say what's up to Hake, what's up to the chat, what's up to Jesse Lee Pearson. I hope all you guys, Joel Friday, and I think you guys got another one now, but I haven't checked his show out yet. So
not quite yet.
Much love to everybody. That's all.
Big time, man. And back at you, Donnie Omer. Appreciate that. Call me again.
All right, brother.
Iberians, the Iberian Peninsula. Do I got to pull out my DNA again? Do I got to show the DNA again? Do I got to show the DNA? Huh? Be right back, folks. Let me just turn on the AC watch some cartoons while your captain returns.
Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they're doing.
Show us one of your miracles. Save yourself if you are the king of the Jews.
He has saved others. Let him save himself.
Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us. Don't you fear God? We received the same sentence he did, but he has done no wrong. Remember me, Jesus.
Today you will be in paradise with me.
Go through the checklist we're supposed to. So AG is prepared. Tell me when you're ready. I'm ready. Activate. Stick is hot. Keep the pressure. Keep it on top. Breathe. Keep up the good work, Laszlo. Nice job. 10 seconds. 3 seconds. Yeah. Breathing normal, more or less. Just make sure you keep your legs and butt, stomach strained all the time. 20 seconds. 25. And here we go down again. No problems?
You'll need to know about the early warning signs of asthma. Let me help you to prepare. Did you know your body is trained to send you clues before an asthma attack? These clues are called early warning signs, and some examples are a scratchy throat or watery eyes. When your body sends you early warning signs, you need to be on alert. Look around to make sure you're not near any of your asthma triggers. Have your quick relief medicine nearby, and check your peak flow number, which measures how well you're breathing. If you miss these early clues, you'll start to feel asthma symptoms like a cough or chest tightness. When that happens, you need to take fast action by using your quick relief medicine. That's it for now. Prepare for battle. Good luck.
Thank you, Cuba Gooding Jr. for the great asthma information. We will be fighting and watching for those early signs of asthma, and we will be telling the children that that's a lie, that you can't handle your asthma symptoms. Don't let them lie to you about that. All right, folks, I think we're pretty close to our landing here. So we're getting prepared here for this. Let's check where the flight plan is. You know, I'm a little concerned. Let's, I don't know where that runway is. And I think I'm already supposed to be descending. I mean, we could read this. I could do a little of the work here. I got a little lazy waiting for it to show up on my screen, but I can do the work here and just read these little waypoints and see where we are. We're at BLVNS. I don't know how you'd say that. You're supposed to say all these waypoints in a one-word way, like Balvins. This is Buns. This is Bacca. This is Cigar. So we're at Balvins. We got to get to Buns, Bacca, Cigar, and then that's the runway. I think we're... Oh, crud. We're pretty close, I think. We got to... Hopefully we don't have to dive for it, and because when we dive for our altitude requirements, it never ends nicely. So hopefully there's not an issue here. I don't think we're that close to the runway where I'm supposed to be worried. So we'll just start our descent now. Flight attendants will be coming down the cabin to get everything prepared, picking up all the garbage, all your garbage. Ballers in first class. All ballers in first class, you know, just keep balling. Matthew with the super chat coming in strong says, sounds like my mother. Appreciate that, Matthew. Got another caller coming in. Let's get to the caller. Caller, you're on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
LA, what's going on?
What's up, Frederick? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. How's it going, Nick?
I gotta say thank you, sir. I hope you're sitting. I don't know if you heard me mention it earlier, but I hope that you are, in fact, sitting in the Ballers Lounge. Are you aware of the Ballers Lounge? Well, if you look at your screen, shortly it will update. This is the Ballers Lounge, which you, of course, have a seat in it. I gotta say thank you for the super chat, the generous super chat earlier this week. Please take a seat in the Ballers Lounge, sir.
That's what's up. I think it's real.
Your phone's a little muffled. If you could help us out here.
Yes. One second. I forgot I had my headphones.
Baller, you gotta use your baller phone.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Thanks, Frederick. Make sure you use your baller phone.
Yeah. I had to take my headphones out.
No problem. How you doing, sir?
My grandson was playing the PlayStation. But I watched that debate you was watching yesterday.
Right on.
Last night. Thanks for the baller status. That's no problem. You got another donation coming because I was spreading them out from Sunday.
Yeah, thank you.
And then Monday I hit Hank. I was fed the real. He didn't say my name right, but I had to go to Rumble to donate. And then Hank, I was about to donate, but before I got a chance to, somebody was like, I'll donate not for you to take for his call.
I seen that.
Like, that's so rude. And I was like, I just want to see where this goes. We had fun. It was just a fun day.
That was pretty cool. A little donation-a-thon on the Joel Friday TV podcast.
Yeah.
He's been doing a great job.
I'm down for that.
He's been doing an awesome job, so I thought it was deserved, so that was cool.
I appreciate it. But the debate.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Sound like this guy sounds like Frederick from LA. Did you think that a couple times?
Who?
The one that was talking about Israel on a one state.
I've heard you mention some things like that. I mean, it may have crossed my mind.
And we calling for ceasefires, and they want to go ahead and push this war and get into it with Iran. Start World War III. Yeah. That's.
I can't say I ever disagree. Go on.
I'm not the only one coming up with these conclusions. Like, are y'all blind?
Well, I don't know. You make some other conclusions though that interest me. Not so much this point, this political point, and America's involvement in Iran and that kind of stuff. I mean, I think I've always maintained that there's definitely a real point being made there. that's definitely worth debating, worth talking about, especially
what about
those in government and those smarter than I. But so I've always maintained that, I think, at least.
Right.
Some other conclusions that interest me.
Like what?
About. Well, let me think. I guess I shouldn't say that without saying an example. One that comes to mind is maybe just I don't know, white people like you not teaming up with Trump and all the side that's against the establishment. You seem to be making sometimes a somewhat clear point on Iran and America, but then which invariably goes into the topic of the establishment and who wants a war. And when it comes to that topic, it falls apart because you're against Trump. You go along with the mainstream media on most points that have to do with Trump, conservatism, white people, racism. You sound just like them. You sound like the very same warmongering
it's like
establishment.
everybody's on the same team when it comes to who want war. They support
right, because
Israel,
to you it amounts to kissing the wall, and for you, then that puts Trump in some. It lacks any real like understanding. For you, Trump kissing the wall is enough. You're like they're all on the same team, and it's all crap. But you don't quite explain that point very well. You don't quite explain that point well because kissing a wall is one thing, and then everything else you said is another.
What do you think about that synagogue in New York?
I think I thought it was interesting. It was interesting in that it was just a strange sight, truly a strange sight. I think I agree with some who say, well, this stained mattress and the baby carriage thing, it's not a good look. And I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. It's not a good look, sure. But we can't go farther than that. We can't go crazy. It could be for very non-nefarious reasons that those things are there. I think just as likely. Just trash and stuff. I think it's just as likely. I don't think we really know. You think there's strange things going on in those tunnels? What do you think is going on in those tunnels?
Yeah, I think they studying old Egyptian knowledge.
But see, that's how it gets crazy. How do you know that?
Study. Huh?
Well, you said you think, but what a strange thing to just think. How do you get there? Help me.
I mean, that's all Jews study is old Egyptian knowledge. You know, Moses and all his writings came from Pharaoh writings. So all they ever study is old Egyptian. That's why mythology and Egyptology, you can get a degree in college and that stuff. It's a real science.
Man, but this is not based in reality. What's clear to me from what you just said, and maybe people in the chat don't, because I've talked to you a few times, so I'm privy to some more info, and so I think I know what's going on here. And what you just said really proved this. This is all it proved. All it proves is that you have some knowledge and maybe a judgment on the Jews. And so, because what you said is not based in reality and the story. There's no evidence to what you're saying about those people in those tunnels at the �𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔. No, it's just based in some knowledge you have. You're saying, in your opinion, this is what you say, that the Jews are just studying Egyptian texts, and that's what you're into. You call yourself a pharaoh. So you've extrapolated and made some insane conclusion that those people, because they're Jews and they're whatever, they're down there studying our texts. Like it's not based in reality. You see how you become an untrustworthy person?
What text do you think that they're studying, Nick?
I don't know, and I don't think you know. But other than just probably general some generalization that you may not even be wrong about, but it's not based. What is it that you're even concluding here about these tunnels? You see how am I making some sense here? I made a point there. Don't you agree? You don't know that's what's going on, and it's really just based in some knowledge you have and a judgment you have on the whole thing.
Yeah, if you didn't notice, it goes bigger than this. Cat Williams broke the internet, right? But Shannon Sharp still told him when he said, if you don't think the Egyptians are black and Egypt's in Africa, and then he changes the subject. You notice how he didn't go in on what guy he said.
Explain that moment again for me, because I actually never did watch the interview. So what happened again?
Oh, okay. Cat Williams about to go into saying Egyptians is black, and that's what Kevin Hart got his show in Egypt canceled for, saying that the ancient Egyptians were black. And Shannon Sharp shut him off real quick after he said that if you don't think the ancient Egyptians are black, because Egypt's in Africa, and he's like, yeah, they move on to the. If you watch that interview, they never go into
And you're saying Shannon Sharp
talked
did that
about
nefarious?
Christianity or the Jehovah Witnesses that his father was raised in that he went away from. But I think Cat was letting in that he might be more Kemetic and not Christian. I'm not quite sure
It
if
may be
he's
true,
a
but
Christian
you're
or
saying Shannon Sharp cut him off and like for nefarious reasons. Like you can't talk about that.
yes. And that's the real problem.
Okay, but isn't that? Tell me if I'm being ignorant here, and it's just because I'm just assuming something here. But out of all the things that it's like you can't say that and it's bannable, canceled, you can't. That's the stuff that's being hidden. It's the Mayat, Pharaoh, Blacks or Egyptian stuff. I don't think that's a controversial topic on the internet.
It is. If you look up what race
What am I
was
missing
the
here? It doesn't
ancient
seem
Egyptians-
controversial. Doesn't seem like
if you
anybody's
look
talking
up
about
the
that.
race of the ancient Egyptians, you'll find a bunch of different answers. They don't want to tell you the truth. Why is that?
Dang, I just never thought. I never thought that, man. Like, like
You
that
never
doesn't even
thought
make
that was
sense
a
to me.
conspiracy
That
theory?
Shannon Sharp was like privy. He's in the know about the Pharaoh stuff, but it's like, dude, don't talk about
No,
that.
he just
Not
didn't
on my
want
show.
to get his show taken off the air.
They really
got
got to take down. So you're talking about stuff that'll take my show down the air.
No, this ain't gonna take your show off the air.
So why
This
would it
is
take
the
off
truth.
Shannon Sharp's show but not mine?
Because Cat Williams was drinking and he wasn't sure of the knowledge. I don't know. I didn't see the clipped interviews
All right,
that
fine,
they
fine.
removed. It looked like it was edited. So if he
All right,
done said something in that edit that they had to go and clip, then I don't know. I don't know what his views. But if he had the right knowledge, they probably could have kept it if he said it the right way instead of just assuming something or something like that. I don't know how he delivered it.
All right, okay, fine. But it doesn't seem like that's the like deep stuff that's gonna help anybody. Like, it seems like more. I was saying about I don't know if you heard me say this about that interview. Like, it sounds like he was saying some pretty deep stuff about his upbringing and racism and certain things. But it seems like people are latching on to, you're saying he broke the internet, and it sounds like it's because of this Pharaoh stuff. They're saying because he mentioned the Illuminati. Personally,
no, he
that's
didn't
so
say no
cowardly.
Pharaoh
like, that's
stuff.
not being deep. That's anybody can
He
say,
didn't say no Pharaoh
conspiracy
stuff.
Pharaoh stuff. Imagine going there and saying,
No.
imagine going up there and saying racism is not real. Black people are not suffering from racism. Imagine, what do you think about
Gotta tell
that?
the
Don't you
truth.
think that's a
You
truly
can't go up there
courageous
and
thing to
tell.
say on the Shannon Sharp show there? Wouldn't that have been a truly courageous thing to say that there's no racism and blacks are not suffering from racism?
You don't have no evidence of that.
Oh, so
have
you don't
evidence
even think
that
that's,
racism
you don't even
exists.
agree with that?
Yeah, I do. There's racism. There's evidence racism exists.
Like what?
Like the people who get fired on their jobs for racism every year. You can count them up.
You have a stat that says people who've been fired by racism?
Or racism for being racist on their job, yeah.
Where? Who's keeping track of this?
Who's keeping track? I don't know who's keeping track.
You're
but
saying
I'm sure
you're saying look up the numbers of
racists
people
are being
fired over racism, and so
I
I'm
ain't say
wondering
millions.
who's the governing body keeping track of this. What a strange stat! I find it dubious and hard to believe. Someone who's tracking racism, I find it hard to believe someone who's tracking racism is an honest person.
That's the only thing that keeps whites from saying the N-word all day. You know what I'm saying? You get fired for that.
Oh, I thought you meant people who were fired because, because
racism.
I see what you're saying. People who've been fired for, I guess, committing the act of racism, not because racism was a force that got them fired.
Committing the act of racism is not racism.
That's crazy. So I'm following you now. So you're saying?
Oh my God! How can you not follow what I'm saying when I'm speaking slow? I practice hard on not going.
And thank you for that. I could tell, but you're still deficient.
I'm still foggy. I understand.
Hey caller, I
don't
see
know
someone
how.
else is trying to call me. I will get to you. Hold on. But I gotta say, yes, thank you for that. I could tell you're slow and clear for the anchor baby. I do appreciate it. You're still deficient in some comprehension and clarity in your speech, so I'm just trying to make it clear
I
here.
don't see
I'm
how
now
the
completely following.
plagiarism-
You're saying that there's because come on, you gotta agree. The way you were speaking, you could have someone who heard you say that could think, oh, you mean people who've been fired due to like, okay, their boss is racist and hates black people and that's why they got fired. No, you're saying people who've committed the act of racism, said the N-word or something, and that's why they've been fired. You're saying there's a stat that says there's a certain percentage of people who've been fired for that reason. And so you're saying that's your evidence of racism? People who say the N-word?
No, I mean I experienced racism myself.
But okay, we can talk about that. But on the stat thing, you brought up, don't forget what you're saying. We'll get to that. But just to make this part clear, on the stat thing and the racism thing, you're saying it's essentially people who are saying the N-word. That's your evidence of racism. People who say the N-word and get fired for it.
That you can't say it at work is the proof racism exists. Yeah, there's laws against racism.
Well, yeah, you know what? I don't even disagree with you. Yeah, that you can't say it at work is a proof of, I wouldn't call it racism, but it is a proof of hating white people. You're right. It's a proof of hating white people. You're right.
So it has to exist.
The fact that you can't say the N-word, and they've picked a word like that, they've singled out this one word. Yeah, you're right. It is. I wouldn't call it racism, but it is a hatred of the groups hating another group, and they're hating white people.
It's like proof it
exists. It's an interesting point you've made.
That's all I was saying. That's all I'm saying. Hatred is real. You know what I'm saying? Especially back in the old days. You know what I'm saying? It was even more prevalent. They had black on black racism.
I have a feeling that we don't totally agree.
You couldn't go in town. You had to be lighter than a paper bag, and the dark-skinned people had to wait outside of town, and they couldn't go in, and it caused a whole split and hate amongst blacks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe you talk about when they like went and integrated and tried to work at
Jim
white
Crow.
businesses and all that?
No, it was just like if you couldn't.
Yeah,
go to
I
town
agree.
about
Forced integration
5.
was a mess.
That's why actually flights didn't even go from the South to California. That's why Jesse had to go during Jim Crow to Indiana to California. But if you, after Jim Crow and let blacks fly, they had to go up north to fly west.
Oh, see, this is what I mean about crazy conclusions. This is what I mean about crazy conclusions. Like as if you knew exactly what, as if you know that. As if you know
You don't think I do?
No, I don't think you do.
Oh my goodness! See,
you're just assuming that, which shows to the world.
No, you're assuming. I'm assuming.
No, you're assuming. You're assuming he went. You're assuming that Jesse took a particular plane.
No.
He had to have. You're saying? Did he say this? And I missed it.
You're assuming.
No. Did he say this and I missed this?
It don't matter.
Did he say this? Did he say this?
I can do my own calculation.
Did he say this?
I can do my own calculation.
What about that answer to my question? Did he say that?
60 years ago.
Did you hear him say that? You can say what you want. I'll let you say what you want.
60 years ago, Jesse would have
your
been
calculations
15.
may even be correct, Frederick, but answer my question.
I can tell you. I know I'm correct.
I don't want you to tell me that until you answer my question. Did you hear Jesse say this?
No, I didn't. I did my own math.
Boom. Thank you. Okay, now go on your little calculations.
It ain't hard.
Your little insane calculations that apparently tell you information that you're not privy to. Go ahead.
No, I can do my own math by the
Show
internet.
your work.
You can do your own math.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just saying, you don't have to hear somebody say anything by knowing their age and listening to their story to see when flights start going west with black people on them after Jim Crow.
That's one thing to say that, and it's another thing to make a claim like you did. Only crazy people make a claim like you did.
But I'm saying civil rights.
You got to be of sound mind. You have to be of a sound mind.
It was a blessing.
You can have your calculations. Hold on, Frederick. You can have your calculations. You can have your whatever you're thinking about, but you have to have a sound mind to conclude the things that you've concluded so far in this call. It kind of shows us that you're not that it's kind of crazy to conclude that it's not a trustworthy person. You can't really trust the mind. You can't really trust the mind of a person who makes those conclusions. Don't you agree?
No, because if you do the math and you know if in 1968 you can't catch a flight out of the South to California if you're black, and you know in 68 what age you was,
I feel like
it ain't hard to do the math.
You're missing the point.
Huh?
You're missing the point. The point I made completely flew over your head.
Yeah.
Or you're just choosing to ignore it because you think you're right.
Say what?
Sorry, I was just saying that the point I made flew over your head, or you're choosing to ignore it because you think you're right.
Oh, it might have flew over my head, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's clear to you that you don't really know that. You're just making some assumption through some knowledge you have.
You're making an assumption.
I've made no claim. It's you the one that's making the claim.
But you're making an assumption that I'm making an assumption.
No, you are truly making an assumption because you've told us yourself with your own words that you did not hear Jesse say that. proving to us
But
you
if
don't
you
have
can
a
do
sound
the math,
mind.
you already know that it has to be the case.
No, you don't know. That's, in fact, by definition, you're wrong. By using the words you've and the information you have, you can only logically conclude that that's not true what you're saying. All you see what I'm saying here? This is what I mean. This is what we're talking about at Bond by a sound mind. You can have your little knowledge, but it's not reality. And I don't think you see the difference. It's kind of amazing.
I don't see how. Right. Okay. Then. When you get off the phone and play it back and explain how I explain how I did my calculations, you'll understand. You'll be like, well, I just could figure it out without Jesse saying it, because I mean it ain't hard to do. All you gotta really do is look at the laws and look at the age and the timeline.
Interesting, man. Well, I hear you. I hear you on that. Hey, anything else you want to say, sir?
I'm just saying, you can call somebody wrong, but I mean, just like the ancient Egyptians, don't nobody care about what color they are. But when the truth for 2024 and all the people tired of being lied to, and they already hate the Jews, and now you see the anti-Semitism waking up, it's only a matter of time for white people be the majority, and I ain't even got to say nothing. I just got to bring a little, look what's going on with the kosher tax to.
So you like white people
and then
getting angry and blaming and
I'm just
you like that.
Look, what
you like
y'all
that.
doing?
And you're like,
Y'all
I'll just wait till
lifting
they're
up
all
the people.
angry and then we'll be friends.
No, they lifting up the
crazy.
people that's taking advantage of them, Nick. Quit lifting up the people that's taking advantage of y'all.
Well, I don't
all
want
y'all
that.
gotta do is wake up.
Well, we may disagree on the methodology and the spirit of it, but hey, we don't want that. We don't want this taking advantage.
We don't want that. That's all we want.
Taking
all
advantage of crap that's happening. But come on, man. There's some self-responsibility here.
No,
none at all.
Everybody play the game fair.
Yeah. So whites are not responsible for what's happening to them. What do you say about blacks?
What about them?
Whites and blacks, are they responsible somewhat for their lot in life today in their countries?
They are taking responsibility.
No, but are they responsible? Because I thought you said they're not at all.
No, I ain't say blacks weren't responsible. Responsible for what?
For their position in life. What's going on with them? In general.
Blacks are responsible for their position in life right now. I mean, this is an intermediate period. It's like shaky. You know what I'm saying? Y'all had it, and now we're going through. This is the shortest intermediate period that we're going to have. Like, every time between the kingdoms in Egypt, the intermediate period lasts maybe almost 1,000 years. So if you got an intermediate period for things to settle down, the next kingdom, it'll be ran right and balanced out. It's just going to be some turmoil, and blacks got to get it together. And once everybody wake up and on the same page, God's plan is going to work out. But I just wanted to know what you were thinking about that debate, because, a lot of people feel like Iran and Israel got beef with each other, and they don't care about going to war because America got Israel back because it knows it can't win no war by itself. So we're the dummies that's going to back them. So
dang.
No,
Fuentes was making a salient point about that, in my opinion. He was making a salient point about that, but his made sense. He speaks clearly.
Well, however the white language interprets into y'all minds, it's funny. Yeah, white people can say the same thing I say, but they be like, "Oh, that's what you."
No, you don't speak the same way, man. It's confusing.
I know I don't speak the same way.
No, it's confusing, and it's like
it interprets different.
No.
I can say the same word, but it interprets different.
No, you make all the other claims, and that's what we're talking about here. You make all sorts of other stuff. I think you're right. I think it's out of judgment, but that's what we're all watching.
No,
hey,
I don't hate nobody, because these ain't even the people that done it. You know what I'm saying? The Moses fabrication story and all of that other stuff was done a long time ago. These people that y'all defending ain't even the people that started the lie. So it seems like y'all take offense to something old people did back in the day that y'all need to uphold because y'all life depends on it or something. It's just strange to me. But
enlightening call, I hope, to some, man. I hope you call me again.
Yeah, for sure.
And enjoy your seat in the Ballers Lounge, sir.
Oh, yeah. Man, I should have bought somebody else a ticket. You got another... Yeah, let me...
You got a few friends up there in the Ballers Lounge. All right, appreciate it, sir.
All right, yep, take it easy.
Call me again. Hope you're enjoying the amenities of the Ballers Lounge. But it's a fine flight. It's a fine plane. The rest, all the way back, even all the way in the back with Rome. Rome 13, keeping it real in the back of the plane. Dang, folks. It's been a nice show so far. Hope you've been enjoying it. Where are we at, computer? Looks like we didn't have to dive. We did not have to dive for it. And usually when you dive for it, you die for it. So glad we avoided that. Everything seems to be going well. Okay, so we're at what? We're at Buns. Our next waypoint is 𝒏𝒂𝒔𝒎. After that, it's Cigar. Then after that, it's Gloria. Oh, we got plenty of flight. Okay, so we got Buns, 𝒏𝒂𝒔𝒎, Cigar, Gloria, Piana, 𝒏𝒄𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, and then finally runway 12, touching down Miami International Airport. We're about maybe like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes away. You can call in 760-515-3855. Want to jump in and talk about what you want to talk about. What's up, American Native? King of Wakamundo. How you doing? How you doing? What's up, Alias? John Frederick, welcome. How y'all? How y'all? Did I say hi to my cuz? Thanks for the coffee. Don't look up. Appreciate that. Says, thanks for handing out the G passes to the masses. G passes for all. G passes for all, just to maintain the union. You know, I decree, if there's one thing I could decree, it'd be N-word passes for all Americans, so that we may heal and we may maintain the union for another 100 years, huh? N-word passes for all to maintain the union. You know what I mean? Nice, John Frederick. The Ballers Lounge is awesome.
Call from
Superfluity of naughtiness.
Oh, dang.
To accept.
I believe we have a caller here. Superfluidity of naughtiness. You're on the air. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Hey, I've been listening, of course, to Jesse Lee Peterson for a few years, and then Hake, and then now you, and then Joel, and I really appreciate your presence on YouTube and Rumble and all those things. The point I wanted to make, and I don't need to have a long discussion or anything, but did you ever hear of this saying? Okay, as you're dealing with all these people and their heavy opinions, right, and stuff, did you ever hear this saying? I find it to be really true. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
Repeat that for me.
A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
I can't say I don't quite understand that.
You know, if you try to convince somebody, or let's say they're convinced on this Pharaoh thing, or Egyptians are pink, or whatever it is, or the Hebrew Israelites and their philosophy, and you try to reason with these people, and even if they kind of see what you're saying, their will not allow them to really change their opinion. It's a big deal for people, let's say globe earthers versus flat earthers or whatever. It's a huge mountain for most people to be actually convinced to the point of believing the truth, or what I would refer to the truth. They will cling to their knowledge-based information almost to the death.
No, you're making
Did I
sense.
explain that okay?
You're making sense. You're making sense to me. Yeah, knowledge, man. Knowledge has such an interesting relationship with man, and it's so easily mistaken for reality and truth. It's so you're hitting on some things here. You're making me think about a few things. Go ahead.
Realm or reality that people have, you know, as of late, there's this belief that we live in a simulator and there's multiple realities, multiple truths. All that concept is making the ability to seek the truth, the pure single truth, extremely difficult. I think that's also this psyop going on, you know, this person's truth, that person's truth. Right. I think it's this thing in the world right now, possibly Satan-driven, that's allowing just multiple deranged theories to become solid in people's thinking, where even if you win a debate or you're reasonable and all that, like it seems like you are of that kind, that it's this uphill battle. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is keep the faith, keep going, don't get discouraged. You may not see the fruit of your labor in a discussion with these people right away. Who knows what's going to happen in years to come? So,
right on, man. That makes a lot of sense. You're making me think about how identity really gets in the way of really acting totally in what we might call the truth or what's good. You can't really totally be with God, with good or whatever. I'm just using words here to communicate. If you're into identity, it'll always be in the way. I've mentioned this already. Might be shallow, but maybe you'll understand me here. Let me know if I'm talking about what you're talking about. But it makes me think of like people who like a black conservative. Yeah, there's some that truly are patriots, but some will be like, oh, I'm a patriot, I love Trump, I'm with the country, up until you challenge the blackness. Then it's like, no, I'm black. You can't say that about us, and you can't talk to me that way. And you did. It sounded like you could get that person convinced with conservatism and all, and the true ideals of the mark. You know what I'm saying? It seems like the knowledge only goes up to a certain point, and that's just one example I'm thinking of. Am I anywhere in the ballpark?
You're in the range, and yes, I agree. That's not exactly how I would have said it, but yes, that's part of it. You know, I'm basically saying you can actually convince people temporarily, but they're going to, but once they hang up and once they go back into their normal life, then they can easily unconvince themselves, and they're of the same opinion still that they were before they even talked to you.
Right. Like they've only had a temporary, they only temporarily adopted just words, and words can never
not
just
a
be
true
words.
epiphany, not a true revelation. But the good thing is that in time to come, perhaps, you add these little building blocks, and then they'll make that connection. So I guess I'm trying to say is don't be discouraged for, people not seeing things, because I do feel people like you and possibly Jesse and Sean and Joel and Hake, I kind of lump you all together, that you're trying to seek real truth instead of your own truth.
I sure hope so. I know the boy. Yeah, I definitely would say that about the guys.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, kind of related, you know how a lot of people, especially in today's society, they're smoking marijuana, they're doing pharmaceuticals, perhaps alcohol. I think those things also contribute to this tunnel vision that people get ideologically. It's really hard to convince somebody that's drunk.
Yeah.
Or
I
now
wonder
even
too what role pot and that's been playing with this. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think we're in agreement. And my opinion, even with alcohol and pot, let's say somebody was smoking pot for a long time, they invariably will come up with these weird ideologies. That's just something I noticed. And then let's say they stop smoking pot, but their mind has been wired a certain way. They may not come out of those weird ideologies, even though they may no longer be imbibing in these pharmaceuticals. And along those lines, the last thing I want to say is the scripture does talk about sorcery. And did you know, you probably did know, that the Greek word for sorcery is pharmakia.
Yes.
And that is also one of the things that will keep people from entering into the kingdom of God. it's on the list.
If I may comment on that, I think you're absolutely right, and it's for this reason. I think we can explain it quite simply, and I'm not saying I totally understand this, but I think maybe you, as someone who's been watching the network, can somewhat understand where I'm coming from here. The mind, okay? It seems to me like people like to differentiate the drugs and alcohol and pot, like they're all different. And sure, I've tried some of those things. They affect you in different ways. You could say that. But I don't know if anyone agrees. I feel everything I've ever, even just drinking a little bit, I don't know if you've noticed, but it makes the thoughts a little louder. It feels like everything that you imbibe in, it kind of just makes the thoughts a little louder. So what happens, I think we can explain it quite simply, is you just make a relationship with that. You make a relationship with that state, that mind state. And you
it can become addictive.
Yeah, you speak with it. You speak with that state that you're in. You speak with that mind state that you're in. You create a relationship. You create a whole mentality around it and things that you're thinking about. And that's why they stay even after you stop smoking the pot, because you never really got over that friend you made in your head, that little friend you made. You know what I'm talking about? And anyways, maybe I'm making some sense.
Yeah, no, totally. And you use the term it gets a little bit louder. I suppose that means the voice in your head gets louder. I would use the word those ideologies and thoughts become more vivid.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I just wanted to quickly share that with you.
Nice.
And I enjoy all your efforts. You know, do not get weary in well-doing. And we all need to protect our spirits too. You know, when we get in these arguments or debates or whatever. So, and I'm guilty of getting overly emotional. You seem to be getting better at that. And I think Hake is also pretty level-headed.
Big time. Heavyweight Hake. Can always rely on him. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Okay. I'll keep watching you and maybe call every now and then.
Thank you, sir. Call me again.
But anyway, the saying, and I remember this, a pot-smoking, fornicating, hot mess of a person. There was a couple that I knew. I called them Bonnie and Clyde many years ago. It was the Clyde guy. They told me that saying, and I've always endeared it. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So
totally.
All right.
It makes so much more sense after this conversation. Thank you, man.
Yep. Bye.
Call me again.
Yep.
I mean, it's so true. You convince someone, they'll just hold on to that until as long as they can. Some are better at others, holding on to some things like that for whatever reason. They'll choose to but it really is just more words that you've adopted, and they are temporary. Like Joel said on his show the other day, deep shows this week. We're to become the word. We're to become the word, the living word. I know it's just words I'm saying. Don't go around thinking it's deep just because you heard it. But, know that I believe it. I don't know if you do, but know that that's something you could discover and really, really make it a priority. Become the living word. The living word. 760-515-3855. You want to jump in the last bit of the show here? Maybe we could show something funny here. What's going on in the world? As we're pretty much arriving, we're just a couple of waypoints away. We're one more waypoint, and then it's full on focus on the landing because the runway is pretty much there. So it's been a nice flight. Ooh, Bacca, where are we? Yeah, we're doing all right. Pretty much after this waypoint, Cigar, it's pretty much, probably halfway through this last waypoint after we pass Cigar, that will be pretty much on landing mode, total focus landing mode. But yeah, it's been nice so far. No complaints. What's going on in the world right now? What's Twitter saying? What's anything happening? Anything? Is this weekend? Are we gonna be hit with something? It is 2024. It's supposed to be a bumpy ride, right? I mean, I guess this was kind of amusing. This teacher of the year. This is somewhat amusing, I guess, for Not so much because of the story, but because I could kind of relate this a little bit to my time in school. In schooling. Police. Texas Teacher of the Year groomed female student in sexual relationship for years. Another one of these groomers. Grooming teachers. And we get these. It's not uncommon to see women teachers do this. To be groomed, to be having improper relationships with their students. It seems every day, every other week, every other few weeks, it's another female teacher in improper relationships. A Texas former teacher of the year is now disgraced after a former student reported a years-long inappropriate relationship between the two when she was 15 years old. 15 years ago. So this teacher got Me Too'd? Well, I might be credible here, so it's not the same. Not every time someone gets accused years later, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. But a couple interesting things here. You know, even if it did happen, even if it is, it's interesting that this is the society we live in, where you can go 15, 20, 30 years ago and punish someone, go back into the past and undo history and punish someone like that and right the wrongs of the past. Think colonization and borders and stuff that's going on today. Kind of makes you think a little bit. Like, what kind of society do we want to be? Now, I don't want to say that it's okay to go around being inappropriate, raping, whatever you call it, sexual assault, whatever's going on. What's wrong is wrong, what's illegal is illegal. But at the same time, it makes me think about what kind of society we live in and what's important to people. What I notice what I notice is they're into going into the past and righting wrongs and not think about what that really is. It's akin to not forgiving. Again, I'm not saying this is okay. But what kind of society? What is the moral framework of our society? What really orders us? And what seems to me what orders us is anger, getting right, even if it's 15 years ago. Imagine a more forgiving populace. A forgiving Christian populace would have learned something in those 15 years, even if justice wasn't enacted. Don't you think? Don't you agree? There's a Christian would have learned something in those 15 years, regardless of if they got their justice, if the person admitted that they're wrong, went to jail. It seems to me like we don't have that, and that's why this is okay. I don't know. Things like statute of limitations comes to mind. So, I don't know what to say. Justice should happen. You guys know me. I'm not into, I don't justify that. But it makes me think about what kind of society we live in. Like, what orders us? What motivates us is enacting revenge. And a little bit, and doesn't it seem like a little bit like just desserts? Women pushed Me Too. Women pushed this whole world. Women push what I'm talking about here. And then this teacher of the year gets it. I mean, maybe even justifiably so, because it could be very well be that this is credible. But what's wrong with this person who 15 years later still hasn't gotten over it? Yeah, you can get over getting even some of the worst things, getting raped as a kid. A Christian nation would maybe be better equipped for that, to forgive and even be able to get over. Because doesn't it feel like our society makes those, they call those things like the worst things, and you never get over it, and you live with the trauma forever. Our society teaches that. I don't think a Christian society would teach that. A Christian society wouldn't act like that. Like this is really that big of a deal. I'm not saying it's okay. It's the innocence of a child. But even that you can overcome. Even that. I think a Christian would know that. This is just something I was thinking about. Kind of makes me think of it a little bit about my time in high school, though. And I gotta say, this is more common than you think. I personally knew 2 different instances of people having weird relationships with their teachers. And I got a little bit, and it was kind of proven too. I can't be fully sure, but I remember there was this girl I knew in high school. And there was this science teacher I knew in high school. No need for names. And this science teacher was a female, was a woman, a lady, and this friend of mine was also a girl. And they had quite an improper relationship. I remember this friend of mine, the younger one, would buy her very inappropriate, expensive gifts. And they would exchange and they would speak alone. And then the kicker was when she showed me texts and pictures, okay? So that one was proven to me about an improper relationship. Very strange. But that's just the truth. That's just what happened. And she was like in love with this teacher. She was like, oh my gosh, she looked at me like this and look at what she said. She was like in love with this teacher. It was strange. After seeing that relationship between my friend and this female science teacher, I then didn't see future teacher interactions the same. There was another, now this is just speculation at this point, but I remember this one teacher, this English teacher, she would get chased around the classroom like a little schoolgirl by this football player in the same class who was my classmate. And I remember she would like take his bag and she'd be like, "Miss," and then chase her around the classroom like, "Give me that back." And they would do things like that. And she would take something from her and she would chase him around the class like a little schoolgirl. And I remember after the science teacher fiasco, I didn't quite see that one normally. I remember, and then other ones, it was strange. I remember there was one kid in the drama. He was in the drama class. And he was always alone with the drama class teacher, crying and telling her problems, but she was always touching him. And look, I'm just speculating, being a weirdo at this point, but I'm just saying these schools ain't these teachers these teachers are basically people, and they're usually kind of children. They're usually children. They got their own problems. I remember my creative writing teacher. I remember when she was trying to be cool. And I just, for some reason, knew she was lying. Maybe she wasn't, but I remember she told us, "Oh yeah, I did acid once. It was an accident though. It spilled on my skin, and my skin absorbed it, and I started tripping out." And I had I was young, maybe a little too young to have this kind of experience, but I had some experience with that. And I'm like, "Yeah, right, teach. Yeah, right. You lying." Just my time at Canadian high school. Teachers trying to be cool. I don't know. I have some experience with that. She's like, "I taught her tripping out." Yeah, whatever. Teachers are just people. They got problems. They're a reflection of a whole bunch of things. Yeah, and we pay them a whole bunch to ruin the children, basically. We pay them all sorts of money to just trauma dump their crap on children, I guess. But, yeah, that's just what I was thinking about, I guess, when I saw this story reported by Breitbart. Teach improper relationships 15 years ago. But, yeah, proper relationships with the teacher, not the teach. What a mess. She's trying to sound cool to kids. Shake my head. I know. And she was married and everything. I'm like, what do you need? What is missing? Lady, she was like a young teacher though. She definitely was young and vibrant, but she was like married. And she was like an adult. Just a bunch of kids, I guess. All right, folks, just kick back for a second while I make sure something's situated here with the flight. And you could call in, whatever. It's just the last little bit of the show here. I do appreciate it. Appreciate that. Just one sec.
Trying to make sense of. 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 Trying to make sense of
All right, folks, we're pretty close to the runway here. Getting pretty darn close, so kick back and relax. We're going to land this thing. Looking good. Thanks, folks. Just kick back. We're going to land this thing. What's this? What's this? This is fine. We'll just play this. A little dramatic, but it's okay. Where's the runway? Where are we? Where are we? I think we're okay. Our flaps are up, gear up. Okay, I think we're okay. Looking good. A little dramatic, but it'll do. Now, how do I turn off these cabin lights? They're so bright. The floodlights. How do I turn the floodlights off? How did I turn them on? Just the ramblings of your pilot as he's landing. Are we not moving in the air? I don't think we're moving. Something's wrong. Hold on. Here we go, folks. Yeah, we're moving. I think. Yes, we are. Definitely moving. Gear down. Folks, it's been a nice show so far. And it looks like we are landing with a crosswind. So we're just gonna wing it. How do you like that one, huh? We're just gonna wing this one. Hold on to your seats. Flight attendants, please get the flight cabin ready for... I mean, you already did that, right? Your trays are up. Your seatbelts are on. Hold on to your seats, folks. Appreciate it. Once I turn this autopilot off, it's just me in the crosswind. Hold on to your seats, folks. Autopilot off. Throttle off. Flare. Folks, and we've landed beautifully. Not a soul plane landing. Your local time is 10:19 p.m., folks. We do appreciate you flying with us. Now, before you get off, make sure you check that overhead compartment for any tumbling, any movement. You don't want to have yourselves a little injury before you get off here. Our flight attendants will be happy to assist you if you have any connecting flights, if you have any questions. They will continue to assist you until you're off this plane. We do appreciate your continued patronage, as we do know you have many options, but you flew with American Airlines, but a Anchor Baby Airlines subsidiary flight today. It's been a good one, folks. Until the next one, thank you. And that's pretty much our captain signing off. And I gotta say, it's been a nice flight. I'm glad to be back doing the flights. We'll be doing more. I got some good things planned this year for this whole channel. And you'll be there with me, and I'm very appreciative as always. I hope the rest of your weekend goes nice. This rest of your Friday is all yours. Enjoy it. Rest up. Be aware and all that. I'll see you guys Sunday for church. Bond, of course, rebuildingtheman.com/church. But that's pretty much it from me. Appreciate it, y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace. Take care.